Hmm. Halo Mat Raffi, halo halo, welcome. Ya udah nyala kan? Welcome welcome Mat Raffi, selamat datang. Oke, kita lanjut farming. Halo Eko, welcome, selamat datang. Jangan malu-malu buat komen. Wait. Oh iya benar itu jalannya. Cara aku mau setting udah paling low sih. Sudah. Ini dia. Tanaman ini dia. Wolom naik put. Ayaim, malu ayaim. Bentar ayaim. Dan naik bot naik bot mah bot. Ada ayah bot nih, ayah bot. Halo Caca, welcome Caca. Selamat datang. Sebentar. Lagi. Ntar ya net ya, aku iya. Ayam bot lebih pinter. Ntar aku salah pin dong. Aku salah pin, malah ngepin bot. Hmm. Bentar dulu, oh salah, harusnya polling. Halo Caca, welcome. Wih, makasih Caca udah di like. Asli nyesek nungguin Cibiarin stream. Kemarin tuh aku kuliah guys seharian. Terus yang streaming kalah sama bot batok Pak Haji. Gak gitu kali. Dasar ayam. Oh, aku mati sama bot. Mati sama kucing anjir. Tar. Damn it. Masih belum fokus ternyata aku ya. Ntar. Ini kah? No, Nope. Oh iya, mari sini. Nah, sambil nonton kita ya guys. Udah kuliah ya, makanya aku masih SMP. Oh, manajernya mana nih? Nggak tahu. Lagi pacaran kayaknya dia. Iki semingit dilinyi, hah? Dilinyi. Oke, net thank you udah mampir. Oke, thank you udah mampir. Thank you Ayayim sudah mampir. Ya aku semangat, tapi ntar lo. Iya lagi pacaran dia. Ntar lo. Aku mau sambil nonton ini.
How beautiful she was. And at first it started as like a fun family banter, like, oh
Kirain
my god,
manajer
our cousin
jomblo
is so
enggak
pretty.
lah.
But they said that they became
Dia
fascinated by her
udah
looks.
ada yang punya dia.
And they said that they were even more intrigued by her contrasting tomboyish manner. I don't know what they're
Untungnya saudaraku itu udah
Something
laku
about
ya
her
guys.
was irresistible, Vtuber said. Now, at first, it starts off as a simple joke. They were joking. I don't know how this is a joke or how it's funny.
Pamit ya
How they
bang,
would
ya mau
kidnap
kemana
her, and
Caca?
what they would
BTW
do to
thank you
her
udah
if they
mampir,
could
udah
kidnap her.
nge-like, thank you.
And for about a month or so, this is how they planned it.
Bye
The more
bye
they
juga.
talked about it, the less of a joke it seemed.
Makasih
and
udah
the more
mampir.
feasible, the more excited they got for this plan. And then one evening, they put their plan into action. They said that they knew where the bus would drop off Jovelyn near the house, and it was very dark. She would get off alone, and they would forcibly grab her. Now, if this were true, if this is true, I cannot imagine the emotions that she went through.
Caca,
First,
makasih udah
being
mampir
grabbed,
Caca.
the fear, the terror. And then when you look and you see it's your cousins, maybe you have this moment of like a release of tension because you probably assume that they're playing a joke on you. And then that fear comes rushing back when you realize they're not. This is not a joke. They stated that they grabbed and restrained Jovelyn, causing her to lose consciousness. Leobert said they dragged her to a grassy area in their hometown, subjected her to rounds of horrific essay by her own two cousins, her own family members, and Leobert stated that she never gained consciousness ever again. They realized that she was dead, which was kind of their plan because there's no way that they could do this to their cousin, of all people, and expect her to not say anything to anyone. Leobert said they dragged her lifeless body to an area with even taller grass and less foot traffic. They dug a shallow grave, buried her. They said that they scattered her belongings through the field as an attempt to hide the evidence. And apparently this was their masterful plan that took them over a month to come up with. The confession of the crime is
Halo
strange,
Natsua, halo
and it
Natsua,
doesn't
welcome,
sit right
welcome,
with a
selamat
lot of
datang.
people. But either way, August 23rd, 2022, just 18 days after Jovelyn vanished, Leobert led the police to the locations where he and Jovert allegedly hid Jovelyn's
Halo,
body.
welcome.
This is where things get puzzling because at this point, people are thinking, I don't really believe this confession. Maybe the guy's on drugs. Maybe he's drunk. Maybe he's like having a mental breakdown because this doesn't make sense. Who can really do this to their cousin? Jovelyn had been missing for 18 days, and he pointed out where her body was buried. The level of decomposition on her body was extremely severe. She was completely skeletal at this point. There were no remaining soft tissues, nothing. It was nearly impossible to do a comprehensive autopsy. There was no way to even prove that she had been essayed before her death because of how advanced the decomp was at this state. A lot of forensic experts who saw the crime scene photos also stated that the bones almost looked a little too clean. I mean, yeah, you could argue that being in a humid tropical environment could lead to faster decomposition, but something about the scene felt oddly staged. That's how the public felt. That's how experts felt. Another puzzling revelation was just how close to home Jovelyn
Parah
was.
banget,
Even
saudara
the things
sendiri
that were
bisa
scattered about, like her ID, her bag, her sunblock, gum, wallet, all of it was discarded so close to her home. Even her body was found so close to her home, it didn't make sense. A lot of neighbors wondered how her neighbors, Jovelyn's neighbors, the same ones that were searching high and low for her, how they never smelled or spotted her remains when she was found 1,000 feet away from her own home.
Wow.
And she wasn't found in like an abandoned field. One neighbor said that
Halo
the
Mat
grassy area
Fauzan,
that she was
welcome,
found,
welcome.
it had some foot traffic because people would walk through it as a shortcut. It's not like a jungle, it's like just a grassy area. And since it wasn't being put to use, some of the neighbors even planted herbs.
What are you
and
doing?
veggies.
No bro,
Kids would play in that little yard
I'm
area. Sometimes dogs
farming
would play fetch.
in the
Even if a
game
stray dog
and
had died there,
watching
which has happened
some
before, everyone would have
mystery
known because of how
show.
badly it smelled. I would imagine it's worse with a human. There's even a store from where Jovelyn was found that's 300 feet away. And you're telling me no one smelled anything? No one saw anything? No, I mean, everyone in the area is looking for Jovelyn, and no one smelled something so strange, like a decomposing body, and thought, it's probably got nothing to do with the missing girl. Like, that doesn't make sense. The family did confirm some of the items found nearby were Jovelyn's, but not all of it. The underwear that was supposedly hers were not hers, according to the family, but the wallet, ID, and some of the other things were. Now, there was no way for them to ID her based on appearance because of how her remains were found. But Jovelyn's mom said, "In my heart, I genuinely believe that she's still alive, that she is somewhere out there because I don't know if someone harmed her. In my mind, she's still alive. When I saw those bones, I didn't feel anything. It's as if they didn't belong to Jovelyn." So this further fueled the online theory that whoever was found was not Jovelyn. Netizens suspected that the police planted the bones there so that they could stop investigating.
What is that
this
video
case.
in the
And it
corner?
was such a
Yeah,
big
I'm
cover-up.
watching some
But the police
mystery
kept going
show.
with this. 2 days later, on August 25th, 2022, they instructed
Yeah, I like
Leo
her
Burt to guide them to
channel.
where he allegedly
So
buried Jovelyn's
yeah, watch
jewelry
it.
and phone. So this is another odd thing. The jewelry and phone were separated from the rest of her belongings, and they were buried super close to Leo Burt's house. So either he's a super confident criminal, dumb, or this just felt strange. It felt weird. Like, if you think of it from a criminal's perspective, especially if you were related to the victim, wouldn't you want to get as far away from their items as possible? Soon after, what the police believed to be a shut and done case, because, you know, we can have all the theories in the world, but only the killers would know the location of Jovelyn's remains and her belongings, right? And Leo Burt led them there, so it must be him, right? Well, Leo Burt's attorney came out to say that whenever Leo Burt was talking and guiding officers to the evidence, Leo Burt would look at the officer, waiting for some kind of sign or go ahead or some sort of signal. At this point in the case, people didn't really know what to believe. Netizens were even questioning if they had gone too deep down into the conspiracy rabbit hole and they were just trying to create the most insane narrative of things now. People didn't know, are we crazy? Is the police crazy? Or is this real? Because, you know, sometimes things happen that are so sick and twisted, it almost feels like a conspiracy when you start thinking about it. People wanted answers, or at least some clarity. Another person that could have that is Joe Vert, the other person involved in the crime, the other cousin. Now, he hadn't been as involved in this investigation thus far because he was hospitalized for accidentally stabbing himself. A radio show tracked him down in the hospital and asked for an interview. Their aim was to just get to the bottom of the mystery, answer all the unrelenting questions, tell us why did you do it, what happened, tell us the truth. But in reality, all this interview did was muddy the waters even more. Joe Vert was so emotional during his interview. He stated that none
It's
of
not
this-
really
none of it-
horror.
even
It's
the accidental stabbing,
like
none of it had to do with Jovelyn.
criminal investigation. She often yeah, it's more like human criminals. I'm not particularly like this kind of show, but I like the way she presented it to us and inform us about the well-known
Sorry, what? Then why did
mystery.
you accidentally stab yourself? I confronted Leo Burt about the rumors that he was trying to hit on my wife. I was drunk, I confronted him, and he looked me in the eye, and you know what he said? He got defensive. He said, "Hey, you better be careful about making accusations like that."
Oh
And
yeah,
I started
horror
getting
video.
angry.
Yeah, I like
I got into a fit of anger, and I was drunk. I grabbed the knife.
I like horror
I pointed it
video,
at him.
but not
I demanded he take me seriously.
particularly really
Just
like
answer the
that
question.
kind of
That's all
thing.
I
I
wanted
just
from him.
want
And then I end up in
to
the hospital and charged with the murder of my cousin.
fulfill my
I have no involvement in my
curiosity.
cousin's disappearance. I loved her. I can't comprehend why I'm even being connected to the case. He talks about how he has a criminal history, and yeah, he might have been involved in some shady things in the past, like drugs, but this, he swore up and down, I truly had no part in this. I cannot fathom what's being
But right now,
thrust
I'm
on
not
me
watching
right now.
horror.
This is the honest truth. When Jovelyn went missing, I was at work with my managers. I can confirm that. They can confirm that. Never in my wildest dreams did I ever imagine taking a person's life or even committing such a despicable act of assault. Please, you have to believe me. August 30th, 2022, a few days after Jovelyn's supposed remains were found, a DNA test was released by the police to the public, stating that the remains did indeed belong to Jovelyn.
Wow.
With this, the police formally charged Leo Burt and Joe Vert of homicide. Now, most of the charges did rely on Leo Burt's confession and narrative. The police completely brushed off Joe Vert's claims of innocence and stated that thing that he said about work, it's just him trying to create an alibi.
What do you mean?
That even raised eyebrows. Exactly what you said. Either he lied about his alibi or he didn't. Like, what does it mean when you say it's an attempt at him creating an alibi? Was he or was he not at work? Like, it just felt like the police were being roundabout for no reason. You could literally just say, he lied, he wasn't at work. But they were like, that's his attempt at creating an alibi. It was really strange that the police kept taking these convoluted routes with this investigation. It felt like they refused to investigate or even entertain Jovert's claims and simply focused on what Leobert said. And just before Leobert was officially taken into custody, Jovelyn's mother, filled with a mix of anger and confusion, confronted him, and she screamed and demanded answers. She asked, how could you commit such a crime against your own cousin, your own flesh and blood? How can you live with yourself? Leobert turned around and he cried and said that he was coerced by the chief of the city's anti-crime organization, Richard Lygad. He begged his aunt to believe him. He cried out, you know me, you know me, you know that's not me, you know I could never do this, please. I didn't do it, auntie, you have to believe me. I didn't kill Jovelyn, I was forced to take the blame, please you have to believe me. I didn't have anything to do with it at all. You've known me since I was a kid, you know what kind of person I am, please, I would never do something like that.
Wait, what?
Chocolatos delight.
Presenting our new premium Italian chocolate wafer stick. with
Oh, thank
soft
you,
and
thank you,
melted
thank you.
chocolate cream filling. Enjoy the premium taste of Chocolatos Delight.
Mamma mia, lazatos.
What?
Ano matakot? Ay, hanapin yung ano niya, ligad. Yan. Ito. Kuya, ulit. Kasama yan siya? Bubutakpan, Relax lang. Kami, nag-ano rin kami.
Yung nalaman ko, basta pagdating doon, nandun na yun. Yung mga buto doon, hindi na doon yung nalaman ko.
She was so taken aback by his words. She was torn between her desire to believe him because she doesn't want to believe that someone she trusted, her own flesh and blood as well, could do something like this to her child. But then there was so much circumstantial evidence against him, and she did think back to all those great moments of Leobert and their family, and it was just so hard to accept that he could have done something like this. She tried to get some clarity. She spoke with him while he was in jail. And later, Jovelyn's two sisters, Jocelyn and Jonalyn, would even go on air with Rafi Tulfo to talk about what was going on with their cousin Leobert. Leobert had alleged that it wasn't just the chief, Richard, that was trying to get him to take the blame. Multiple officers were heavily involved. Allegedly, they instructed him to point at random locations, so they brought him to a field. They were like, point in that direction. Then he would point in that direction.
Thank you by the
Creating
way
the illusion
for
that he was the
follow.
one that told them where the body was and where
subscribe.
the belongings were.
So they were just like using random clips of him.
But they just took him to a predetermined spot and told him to point. So he did. And sure enough, her body and belongings were found. And he said that he was gutted and shocked, but also terrified because that just made him look like the guiltiest man alive. Allegedly, Leobert only complied with Richard and the police because they kept threatening his family. The sisters were able to record a conversation with Leobert, and he does.
Hello,
in fact,
Shinichi.
seem
Welcome,
terrified
welcome,
for his life.
Shinichi.
He
Welcome
stated
to
how
Mo.
Richard told him exactly how to
Welcome
respond
to the
the
stream,
questions he would
and I
ask.
hope you
But he
enjoy.
also alleged that Richard physically abused him when he didn't do what was asked of him. He sent the sisters pictures of scars and bruises all over his body.
Now, pakipaliwanag sa amin, doon nababanggit yung pangalan ni Ligad at meron pang pinakitang picture. Saan ang galing yung picture? Pwede pakipaliwanag sa amin? Bakit nabanggit yung pangalan ni Ligad doon, ma'am?
Yun nga po, ang sabi niya nga daw po, si Richard Ligad nga daw po yung nagdidikta sa kanya. Kaya po sineche agad namin kung anong mukha at pinakita namin sa kanya.
Hello,
Sabi
Malas
niya,
Gete.
yan nga
Welcome.
daw po yun. Simula unang gabing pagpasok niya sa kulungan, yun na daw nagdidikta sa kanya at nananakit sa kanya.
So, kasama ho ba sa inyong responsibility na kapag meron pong mga suspect na naaresto,
Yoichiri,
kailangan kayo po ay
welcome,
present
welcome.
doon at kailangan kayo kasama sa mag-iimbestiga. In this case, inamin niyo po noong August 22, nandoon po kayo,
Wait,
present
thank you,
kayo.
thank you for the
Yung
share,
ito pong
thank
si
you.
Leonard ay nasa kustodiya ng mga pulis at kayo mismo nagsabi
Ngap.
na
Kenapa, bro?
nandun si Major Manalo at nandun ka rin.
Go farming
Ano po
sambil
yung,
ini ya,
important
sambil nonton.
significance po ng inyong
Oh,
presence?
makasih like-nya, thank you
Doon.
like-nya.
Po, kasama rin po sa ano
Thank
po
you
yun.
for the like.
Dahil same time ako rin po yung director ng
Makasih,
anti-crime task force
makasih.
po.
Were you called or you were there
Jir, Caca
voluntarily?
admin di
Yung
sini,
po
iya.
sa pag ano ng cellphone, bali tinawagan po ko ni Sir Manalo na yun nga raw po
Jir, parah
daw
banget
po
di Filipina ya.
ni Leobert kung saan yung cellphone.
Ada
Sir,
kasus
noong pong August 22, yung the day na natagpuan po
Ada
yung
kasus
bangkay,
hilang.
at ito po si Leobert po ay nasa custody ng mga pulis.
Terus banyak banget
Yun po yung
twist
tinatanong
plotnya.
ko, bakit
Udah
po
kayak
kayo
drama
nandoon?
aja.
Sir,
Apa.
bakit po kayo nandoon noong August 22? Kayo po ay civilian, hindi po kayo miyembro ng PNP, tama?
Sir Rapi, ako po yung Public Order and Safety Officer din po ng lungsod ng Puerto Princesa, sir.
So kayo ho ay may tie-up o meron ba kayo memorandum, City Hall and PNP na para makialam po sa investigation involving criminal activities? Meron ho bang memo between the City Hall and the PNP? O yung PNP ho ba, kayo po ay ni-request o kayo po ay dinetail ng City Hall sa PNP na pwedeng makialam?
Nggak
pwedeng
ngerti
imbestiga,
bahasa
pwedeng
Thailand aku,
magbigay
bro.
ng information sa ginagawang crime investigation ng ating kapulisan.
Nyangkut-nyangkut.
Sir,
Hello, sir? Yes?
kayo po ay isang civilian employee. Hindi po kayo miyembro ng PNP, tama?
Sir Rapi,
Itu ada kejadian
yung
apa?
background-
Jadi,
background lang po natin, ano,
ada
hindi
cewek
lang po ito
hilang
yung first time
di
na
mall
nag-observe
di tempat
po
dia
tayo ng
kerja
kaso
di
dito
Filipina.
sa atin sa lungsod ng
Jadi,
Puerto Princesa, no?
Plot twistnya
Nung
banyak
tie-up
banget
din po
anjir.
tayo sa PNP sa iba pang mga
Pertamanya
kaso.
itu kayak
Ito
ada
lang po,
urban legend
gusto
di
lang
bawah
po
mall
natin
itu ada
tingnan
manusia
kasi
ular yang
naging
makan
sensation
orang.
po ito, eh.
So kayo
Terus,
po ay kusang
polisinya di sana itu kan nyelidikin
sabi mo kanina,
pas
para
lagi
tumulong po sa investigation.
polisinya datang
At
pengen
yan po ay kasama sa inyong
investigasi
responsibility na
sama
ibigay
mallnya
po sa
nggak
atin ng
dikasih
City Hall.
CCTV-nya.
Tama?
Jadi
Apa, tama po.
aneh
Parang
gitu
critic
kan.
lang po,
Tapi
ano,
polisinya
tinitignan
kayak
po kasi natin kasi
nurut
mahirap po
kayak
na
sejak kapan
nalaman
gitu
na
polisi
narinig natin, very sensational
bisa
ito.
kayak gitu terus
Mahirap
polisi
po
di
kasi mabigyan tayo ng,
kata-katain.
maling suspect, ika nga.
Opo. Pero sir, meron
Terus
po kayo sapat na
kayak
training
pas
na para
momen dikasih ke
tumulong
CCTV-nya ya, pas
sa
momen
pag-imbestiga para
itu
yung
ceweknya
ginagawang,
pulang pas
investigation ng
mau hilang itu justru bagian itu yang CCTV-nya nggak ada.
police sa anumang klaseng krimen sa
Bilangnya
lugar,
katanya
who are
mati
well
lampu,
trained
jadi
on that
CCTV-nya
aspect
mati.
in terms of investigation in
Terus,
gathering information, crime investigation ng PNP.
pokoknya
Yun
di
ang
situ
tanong ko.
di
Sir,
selama
hindi po,
kasus itu
actually,
polisi
hindi
itu
po,
kayak
parang
dibuat
nag-observe
kayak
lang din po ako dun,
bukan
sir.
dibuat ya,
Police responded to
seolah-olah
Leobert's change in
nggak
attitude by
kompeten gitu.
stating, "We have his
Terus
confession
banyak
where
banget
he admitted to
janggalan-janggalan
committing the
sana
crime
sini.
with overt. That is the information we currently have, and we're going to rely on it. If there are claims of additional individuals involved in the crime, we will conduct a thorough investigation into that matter."
Wow, this is so shady.
I don't
Holy.
think anyone was satisfied with that response. It felt like the entire case and the entire investigation, the police just kept taking the scenic, easy route. They didn't even care to investigate. They just wanted to say, "Oh, well, that's what we have." So, even if it's not true, that's what we have. So
Terus
we're gonna
nggak cuma
stick
sampai
with it.
situ.
The lack of transparency,
Kan
the
karena
inconsistencies
beritanya
throughout the
viral,
investigation made it
terus
difficult
polisi,
to even have
terus
faith in the
pemerintah
authorities.
itu didesak
The
banget
family ended
sama
up reaching out to
netizen
the
gitu
National
ya.
Bureau of Investigations, the
Terus
NBI,
tiba-tiba
to help assist with the
ipar
police
dari
and
korban
getting
ini
justice.
jadi tersangka.
Honestly, they just wanted another DNA test.
Dibilang
I think they just
katanya
wanted to make sure the
mereka
police
yang
weren't
ngebunuh
lying and that
terus
indeed was
dikubur
Jocelyn's
gitu.
I don't think any family could live on comfortably knowing that they were skeptical of something like this, and
Terus
I think it would just drive people
pas sudah
crazy.
ditetapkan
The
dia
NBI
tuh
started their own
saudaranya
investigation
iparnya
parallel
sendiri
to
yang
the police,
tersangka
and
dua
in the
orang.
end,
Terus
the
iparnya
NBI's
ini kan
results
kayak
were the same as the police.
itu sama emaknya
Confirmed it was
korban kan.
Jocelyn's remains.
Tapi iparnya ini
It
malah
said Jocelyn's
kayak
family was,
mohon bilang katanya
feeling a
gue
mix
ini
of relief and sorrow.
diancam sama
The NBI
pemerintah.
experts did what the police
Lu
failed
tahu
at
gue
doing,
dari kecil
which
kayak
was
gimana,
giving
gue
the
nggak bakal
family a
ngelakuin itu
reason on
sama
how it happened.
sama saudara
They
sendiri.
said the weather conditions
Jadi
played a big role.
twistnya
Additionally,
tuh
they
banyak
stated the
banget.
presence of crocodiles in the area could have accelerated her soft tissue decomp. It seems like Jovelyn's family were satisfied with the response. Many people in the public were not. They brought up a few things that didn't track.
Nggak
For
ngerti dah.
example, if there were crocodiles,
Emang-
how come there was no blood stains in the grass? If you're saying the crocodiles came to consume her
Emang
remains, there
sangat
must be
rumit
traces
banget.
of either
Di
bodily fluids
Filipina
or even
ternyata
tissue
begitu.
left behind, because a lot of the times they'll take remains to a secondary location to consume. But the entire area seemed pretty clean. Another reporter, Tommy Abal, stated, There is a recurring
Terus
phenomenon
tempat
where
kejadian
authorities attempt to
di
conceal
mana
the truth
katanya
by
korban
targeting
dikubur
vulnerable
nih
individuals
juga banyak
and forcing them to
kejanggalan-kejanggalannya
shoulder the
katanya.
blame for crimes they didn't commit. They employ tactics of intimidation, issue death threats, instill fear by
Halo
involving
Fahri,
family
welcome,
members if they
welcome.
Is your English
Iklan.
slowing you down? Can't find the right words?
refused to cooperate and confess. So a lot of people agreed with him. They stated none of it makes sense. Even Javelin's remains or belongings that were found, they looked very dry, like her wallet, her ID.
Oh, thank
if her
you,
body
Yoichiri,
decomposed at that
dari share.
rate,
Thank you.
her belongings just look so fine. Just didn't make
Nah,
sense.
di-share
It looked like
terus.
they'd been tossed in the grass that morning.
Makasih
There was another
BTW.
moment that stood out, and allegedly during an interaction between an
Gue
officer
tinggal
and
dulu
Leo
bentar.
Burt that was
Oke,
caught on tape.
makasih.
The officer asked Leo Burt, "Where's Javelin's necklace?" Leo Burt seemed genuinely confused, but not confused in the sense of like, "Oh shoot, I forgot to hide her necklace," but confused in like wait, there was a necklace? Almost as in like, nobody told me about the necklace. Like, I don't know about a necklace. People took it as maybe this guy has no idea what's going on. Maybe he's being fed information to repeat, but he has no insider information. Everything he is saying, maybe it's just what he's told to say, and when they go off script, he has no idea
Iya,
what's going on because
dipaksa
he didn't
ngaku
commit the
padahal dia
crime.
bukan
You know how I said
pelakunya.
the family seemed to
Parah
somewhat
banget
accept
ini.
that those were Javelin's remains that were found?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean that they were believing whatever the NBI or the police were saying. In fact, many of the family members were conflicted on how to handle Leo Burt's claims of innocence now. Some of the family members reached out to a local congressman to help pay for Leo Burt's bail. It's not clear how much the bail was, but the congressman agreed to pay for it, and he said that he has no opinion in the case, he just wanted to help someone. Meanwhile, Jovert took a polygraph on Rafi's show, and he passed with flying colors. Leo Burt did not. So it was kind of a show.
Yeah. Wow. So that fuels the conspiracy even more.
Yes, of like, okay, now there's a conspiracy that only Leo Burt
di
was
atas
involved.
konspirasi.
He's dragging his cousin into it for no reason. Then there's the conspiracy of neither of them were involved. Or there's the conspiracy of maybe Leo Burt tested and failed the polygraph because he has been so convinced and so, I guess, mentally abused by the police, he doesn't even know it's true anymore. Because that's what happens. There's false confessions where a lot of criminals start believing in, wait, did I actually do that? The police are saying that they have all the evidence. And they're playing out these scenes, and I can picture it in my head, and it almost feels like I did that then. On November 25th, 2022, the country woke up to news that the court had dismissed charges against Jovert and Leo Burt.
Wow.
The court stated that they could not establish a direct link between the individuals in question and the crime.
Wow.
They're freed.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine this was very confusing for Javelin's family. Like, there
Yeah.
must be some members who believe in Leo Burt's innocence,
Then
but still
do they?
want justice.
It's open again, right?
Yes, the case is open again, but it doesn't look like the
Nge-lag
police are
kah?
making
Emang
progress,
nge-lag kah?
or at least they're not letting us know if they're making progress.
Welcome
So
back,
it does
welcome
seem like
back.
Javelin's
Yoichiri.
family, they accept that Javelin is dead. They
Wow.
want everyone to accept that she's dead. But it does seem like they still want justice. They have come out with a
Welcome back,
statement and
Natsuha.
stated,
Welcome.
we do appreciate that everyone still hopes that Javelin is alive, and we fully understand why it might be hard to accept, especially since we were only given skeletal remains and nothing more. But the experts provided good explanation and reasoning as to why her bones are left. We should respect this as they are professionals and they are doing their job.
Yang aneh
Now,
itu,
again,
dia
I think this part, a lot of people took it as, oh, like
18
now the
hari
family is in bed
hilangnya.
with the police, right?
Pas ditemuin udah
No,
tinggal
I
tulang
think
doang,
when
18
there's an open
hari.
investigation, as much as you hate the police for their incompetence, to a degree, the families of victims have to please the police to a certain level in hopes that they will investigate your loved one's death. You cannot piss off the only people that have the power to bring you justice right now. It's kind of with this Howard tragedy, you know, like all the victims' parents, they were still hopeful that the president could do something. So they still, regardless of their political beliefs, regardless of her job in handling the situation, they had to still be nice to her, and they still had to talk with her and beg her in a kind manner instead of demanding things from her because she might be the only one that could help. That's kind of, I think, how this situation is. They stated, we're hoping that all of you can respect and accept the truth for our sake and our peace, and so you can join us in praying for Javelin. We know the results are hard to accept, but we believe the PNP and the NBI did their job well in conducting the investigation. They went on to thank the media for the coverage and helping an investigation.
Halo Yui,
They ended the letter
welcome.
with,
Selamat
our
datang.
last wish
Welcome,
is that we
welcome.
all keep our minds open
Dari
and
motifnya
embrace
ada
the
kelihatan
possibility
ini
that
pasti
Jocelyn is
pembodohan yang
really
berencana.
gone. Let's all learn
Tapi
to
apa
accept
hubungannya
this
sama
and
wanita tuh dan sama pemerintah
and
dan
be
mobilnya?
understanding
Nggak tahu,
about the whole
nggak
ordeal.
ngerti.
For now, we may not be able to understand
Abis
everything about what happened and why it had to happen,
gimana
but we
ya?
just need to trust the
Kayak
process and have
18
faith
hari
that God
hilang
went through this
dikubur,
with us from
tapi
the beginning
yang
until the
ditemuin
end.
cuma
So it doesn't seem
tulangnya
like the
doang,
case itself
kayak
is
udah
closed,
dekompos,
but I
udah
have
mengurai
genuinely no
tubuhnya,
idea
sampai
what
kayak
to
body
even think.
tisunya aja udah nggak
The
ada.
deeper I go down this rabbit hole, the
Aneh
less I
banget.
understand about this case. And I feel like
Terus
I haven't
kalung dari
I haven't
korban
researched a lot of those cases in a while.
lokasinya nggak jauh
Where I'm
gitu
like,
dari
the
tanda
more I
kutip
know, the
pelaku.
less I know. I genuinely
Why
have
gitu?
no
Why to
stance
is
on what
hello,
happened because I'm
welcome.
so confused. And it's just a case that has frustrated a lot of netizens, and more than anything, I think the only thing that I can take away from this case, or one of the very few things, is I think this showcases just how little trust that people have in
Huntao,
authorities
welcome,
these
Huntao,
days.
selamat datang.
To no fault of our own, it's just become harder and harder to take the authorities' words for things. I think humans, we just want proof now. And I think maybe the police should kind of learn from that.
Hai
And it's
Huntao, wih thank you for the follow, thank you
I'm
Huntao.
glad that the family was able to find some closure, that they
Thank
need
you
to
for
move
the
on
like
from all of this,
also,
but
thank
that is all we
you.
have for today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Sulit untuk kejadian
Please stay
perkiraan.
safe, and I will see you guys on Sunday for the mini-sode.
Masih jadi misteri sebenarnya. Tapi yang pasti ya korbannya udah ketemu dan apa yang terjadi sama dianya itu yang belum ketemu. Sama kayak apa yang sebenarnya terjadi sampai bisa kayak gitu. Siapa pelakunya atau ada apa di baliknya. Anjir iklan.
Is she filming a video or is she trying to take a nap? Hi everyone, welcome to the first relaunch of Midnight Mango. Listen. I know Midnight Mango was like the true crime that I did on this channel, but Midnight Mango has basically turned into Rotten Mango. And so we thought we'd bring it back, but with the stories that we tell in mukbangs, because I read the comments, I listen to the comments, and so many times people are like, can you just timestamp when the story starts? So,
Huntao,
the
thank you
timestamp
for
is
the
now.
share.
We're starting the story now. Let me
Hello
know what you
Yui,
guys think.
hello,
I want it to
hello,
feel
welcome
like
back
we're just
in the
chit-chatting at
Bstation.
midnight with the guy
Even
that
though
I'm
you are
reading,
just in
who's
my
listening to
YouTube.
the story. I actually have like
Hello,
a whole
hello.
PowerPoint presentation because this one is thick drama. So welcome to Midnight Mango.
We need like
Like an intro.
right, whack whack.
First of all, I just want to talk about something real quick before we get into the thick juiciness of today's case, which is basically this YouTuber goes to a YouTuber party with a bunch of other famous YouTubers, and she's trying to hack into their YouTube accounts, and she gets caught. Amongst other things, this is just like one of the many things that she gets caught for. She straight
Kalau
up tries
bagiku
to sell
mungkin
her
diculik,
ex-boyfriend's
disekap,
YouTube channel.
kupikir
They were like
kan
a famous YouTube vlog couple.
agak
They
ngeres
break
dikit.
up, and she tried to
Oh,
sell his
kulitnya
YouTube channel.
dikubur. Tapi
I don't
kayak
know how it
terlalu
works.
banyak effort nggak sih
Because the
sampai
person
dikulitin
changed.
gitu.
Today's Stephanie, tomorrow's.
Tomorrow's you.
Huntao, anjay.
I'll sell you my YouTube channel. Do you want it? But before we do that, I just want to talk
Halo
about my first
tersesat
encounter
dan
with Factor.
Demon Lord,
Okay, let
welcome,
me
welcome.
explain. I saw a ton of fitness influencers, fitness gurus talking about Factor, and I was like,
Nah,
I probably already
kayaknya
know about this.
yang ini enggak deh.
Probably it's gonna give
Ini
chicken breast.
skip.
So this is a very public family, very wealthy family.
Coba kita cari video di yang lain. Oh, ini di Bali nih kejadiannya.
Bada bing, bada boo.
Mr. Bing jumped into bed thinking about how well rested he's gonna be tomorrow
Soalnya
morning.
kan
You know, hotel
tinggal
beds, they've got a certain magic about
tulang
them. They make you
doang
fall asleep, they
permasalahannya.
make you
Iya,
stay
tinggal
asleep,
tulang.
or maybe
Nggak
it's
ngerti.
like the blackout
Tapi
curtains that
buat
you
apa gitu sampai
Either
tulang?
way, he's very excited to have the much needed deep sleep, and it's Sunday night, so he's like a tiny bit concerned, a tiny bit worried that all of
Nonton
these
Nine,
other
Mas.
hotel
Aku
guests, all of these neighbors around him,
nonton
they're gonna be up loud
acara
and
misteri, bukan
rowdy,
misteri
just
ya.
partying through the
Ya
weekend.
kayak
He's a very light
dia ngebahas
sleeper,
kasus-kasus
so yes,
yang
he
terkenal.
has some concern. And maybe,
Ini adalah
just maybe,
kejadian yang
thinks,
terjadi di Bali.
in a daze, Mr. Bing wakes up from a strange noise. It sounded kind of like a groan. A groan. He turns to look at the time on his phone, and the light is so bright he's like squinting his eyes. 6:43 a.m. Still half asleep, he thinks, okay, maybe it was a fleeting dream. Maybe I didn't actually hear anything. His eyes start slowly closing again. And there it is again. The same noise, the groan. It's like a muffled
Cara
groan.
penyajian
This time it
dia,
feels louder, like it's getting
penyampaian
closer.
ceritanya seru
Something
juga
about the
sih.
noise, it
Dari
freaked him out.
perspektif dia itu
It
seru.
freaked him out enough that he was
Dia
sitting up in
berurutan
bed,
terus
high
sama
alert, his back was
analisanya
erect.
detail juga.
He's pausing to listen for that groan again. At first it sounded like it was coming
Yang
from
kebaya merah
inside
kan?
his
Enggak,
head.
bukan yang kebaya merah.
So
Ini kasus
motionless,
pembunuhan
he's
bule di
practically
Bali.
holding his breath, hoping that it would help his
Kayaknya.
ears work better. And
Aku
there
juga belum
it
nonton.
was.
Dan aku nggak tahu sebenarnya
This
kasus
time
yang
it
mana
sounded
nih.
like it was coming from outside his room though, like the hallway.
Pasangan bule
So he
kayaknya
grabs his
meninggal di
phone,
Bali nih. Kayaknya dia
swings his
ngebahas yang
legs
itu
to the
deh.
ground,
Pernah
and he
kayaknya
starts
denger tapi nggak terlalu
tiptoeing
ngikutin.
to the hotel room door. Quietly, he presses up against the door and puts one eye in front of the peephole. He's like half expecting to see someone standing at his door, but he scans up and down, left and right, and he doesn't see a single thing. He doesn't see anyone. And he lets out like a small sigh. Then he backs up from the
Bukan
door.
lah, bukan yang
And then he
kebaya
freaking
merah
hears it
lah.
again. The groan. Because he's closer to the door this time, the sound was much more clear, and it was also accompanied by another sound. The sound of something dragging, some sort of friction. So imagine someone dragging their duffel bag on the ground instead of carrying it by the
Bagi
straps.
masih tahu
It's that sort of noise.
perang di Papua. Hah?
Maybe Mr. Bean could have reasoned with
Abang
himself.
masih tahu perang
Okay,
yang di
a
Papua? Oh,
hotel
nggak
guest
tahu.
is clearly struggling with
Oh,
their
yang
oversized
ini kah,
duffel
yang
bag,
pemberontak
and
itu kah?
instead of bringing it to their room,
KKB
they're just
teroris.
dragging it. But there was just something about this groan earlier that sounded almost primal. He
Wow.
glanced at his door locks. Good. Double bolted. So he steps back into his room and starts speed walking to the hotel landline on the nightstand. Hi, sorry, for the past like 10-15 minutes, I've been hearing some groaning. Good morning, Mr. Bing. You said you heard some groaning? Yeah, I think it's coming from the hallway, but it sounds like someone's been injured or something, like that type of groaning. I think someone's struggling. Yes, Mr. Bing. We'll get right on it.
Ini di hotel kejadiannya.
Groaning inside of a hotel, especially a hot vacation spot for couples,
Sampai
is not
warga
the biggest
sipil yang kena.
emergency.
Aku
The
nggak
hotel staff, they
belum update lagi
prioritized
sih
a
yang
few
itu
other
sih.
routine tasks and would only get to check up on Mr. Bing's complaint in like 20 minutes after he first called. 20 minutes. Remember this for later because it's very
Iya, emang
important.
susah itu.
When the hotel employee arrives on that floor, he steps out of the elevator and he listens. He's like, okay, there's no weird noises, there's no groaning. He turns the corner and he starts walking towards Mr. Bing's room. And his breath is knocked out of him. Around the corner, on the floor in front of him, lay the dead body of a young man.
Wah, anjir.
There was a trail of blood behind him. He had stab wounds all over his body, and it was very clear that he crawled out of his hotel room trying to escape.
Oh my gosh.
He most likely crawled on his stomach and then collapsed on his back when he could crawl no more. But there's more. He was completely nude and covered head to toe.
Sama
in
nambang
blood.
ilegal. Oh, aku belum
The
tahu sih
hotel
yang itu.
guest services employee
Nantilah
starts
mungkin
panicking,
pas sudah
you know,
detail.
and if he followed the blood trail, it would
Lagian
lead him
pemberontakan
directly to
masih
room
berjalan
4223,
jadi
just a few rooms down from Mr. Bing, who
masih
was
belum
in
bisa di-solve.
4228. And inside room
Gua seruduk.
4223, they would find another body. The young man's girlfriend. She was found unclothed in the bathtub. There was an open bottle of wine on the edge of the tub, as if she was just enjoying her vacation, enjoying a bath, before she was ambushed and murdered. Like, that's what the scene looks like.
Anjir, udah kayak pembunuh
This
bayaran.
took place in Bali. So the Bali Police Department, they quickly secure the crime scene. Forensic investigators start moving and they start collecting the evidence. The medical examiner is trying to
Jangan
identify the couple.
terlalu
And
gore,
they begin the
Yoichiro.
autopsies. And it was clear neither of them died a natural death.
Anjay.
Which are like, okay,
Nanti
yeah, I
itulah
mean, I
takdir
don't need to be
karena
a
manusia
forensic
pantas
expert to
mati.
tell you
Aduh,
that,
parah
right?
banget.
In
Yang
a
terlalu gore
truly
nggak seru.
bizarre, shocking, strange twist, Indonesian authorities very quickly deemed the case as there were no third parties. They said the boyfriend out in the hallway murdered his girlfriend and then ended things with himself.
What? In the hallway?
Yeah,
How does that make sense?
exactly. So the two people that were found dead, they were Chinese nationals, meaning Chinese citizens.
Orang Cina.
And netizens in both China and Indonesia, they start collectively voicing their concerns about the case. They're like, wait, hold on. There's so many pieces of evidence pointing to the fact that they were both murdered, right? So I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. Even just looking at the crime scene, most people are like, this doesn't add up with what the authorities are saying happened. But there's even more. So the boyfriend in the hallway was found to be stabbed to death by a broken glass beer bottle. His
Anjay.
own fingerprints were nowhere on the beer bottle. He had stab wounds on his back
Ditusuk
that would have been
sama
incredibly difficult for him to have
botol-
inflicted on himself. And
botol pecah.
allegedly, his private parts had been severed off. And on top of that, his
Anjir.
last text message to his mom
Kemaluannya
just
udah
2 days
dipotong,
ago
anjir.
was, "They're trying to hurt me." And the couple, the victims, they're both very, very wealthy
Waduh.
in the cryptocurrency community. So, I mean,
iya, iya.
every
Wait, when was this though?
May of 2023. May 1st.
Oh, hari
2023.
Mei
It's- yeah, it's an
2023
ongoing
anjir.
case.
Like 2 months ago.
Okay, well, it's not
3
an
months
ongoing
ago.
case, but yes.
What?
Yeah. So, I mean, every single piece of evidence seemed to point to the fact that this couple was tortured and brutalized in their hotel room.
Mending fokus sama
But
yang
here's
di
where it gets even more
TV yang
puzzling.
lagi di kita tonton aja
Indonesian
deh.
authorities
Gak usah
stated that
ngomongin
they poured
KKB
through
dulu.
the CCTV footage from the hallway. Nobody other than the couple themselves ever entered that room, nor did they exit. Not a single soul was caught on camera sneaking in, breaking in, or being invited into the couple's hotel room. So this very quickly became a locked room mystery.
Locker room
Were they
mystery.
murdered? If they weren't, what the hell happened? If they were, how did the murderer
Oh,
get
thank
in,
you.
and how would they escape that room?
Iya, dibunuh di dalam
And
hotel
more
deh.
importantly,
Ya.
why would someone want them
Di
dead?
dalam kamar. Dan nggak ada yang keluar atau masuk kamar dia selain mereka berdua. Jadi benar-benar jadi masih misteri gitu. Yang cowoknya itu dia kayak bos kripto gitu.
As
Tahun
always, full
dia Mei
show notes
2023
are
ini
available at
kasusnya berarti masih baru dong.
rottenmangopodcast.com. We did have Chinese researchers on this case, but I do
Hotel
understand that
petugasnya
there
nggak ada
is
yang tahu.
another aspect to this
Nggak
case.
di
So if you
CCTV
guys are
katanya nggak ada
familiar,
yang
if you
kedeteksi
guys are
keluar masuk
Indonesian
kamar
or are
mereka.
familiar with this case, please let us know if there was
Dan
anything
di
that
dalam
was
kamar
missed
itu
or
cuma
anything
dua orang itu ya,
mistranslated
dua
down
orang
in the
pasangan
comments.
ini.
So most
Dan
of our
dua-duanya
research
modar.
was done using Mandarin sources. And as a legal disclaimer, as of filming, nobody has been prosecuted for these deaths. So the theories we're covering today are entirely speculative, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I feel like this whole case just feels very suspicious. And just one last disclaimer, violent crimes, they take place literally everywhere in the world. There is not a single person safe from being a victim of a crime or a single place that has no violent crime. And just because this crime takes place in Bali, Indonesia, does not speak to their crime rates, nor to your chance of being a victim of a violent crime there. So just, as always, critical thinking skills should be exercised before casting judgment on an entire city, country, and or population of people. I just always want to stress this when a crime takes place in an area which their economy is heavily
Pas ada yang
reliant on
tersembunyi di kamar
tourism.
hotel mereka.
So,
Gue mikirnya
just to
kayak
preface.
mungkin
And
ada
with
orang
that being
yang
said, let's get into it.
ada
The
jalan
Intercontinental
rahasia
Hotel
mungkin dari
in
hotel
Bali
itu atau
is kind of
kita
like
nggak
a
tahu lewat
vacationer's
hotel lagi.
dream.
Bentar lihat dulu,
It's
nonton
a
dulu.
luxury resort with a private beach that only guests
Resort
and
ya.
staff of the Intercontinental
Resort tuh
Hotel
kayak
can use.
kabin-kabin
And it's just,
gitu kan,
it's
kayak
like a
pondok-pondok
paradise.
ya. Bisa aja
You
sih ada
can
orang
choose a room that
menyusup
faces
situ.
out into the water. That's what you wake up to, this amazing view. They have a doctor on call that's there all the time. You have nanny services,
Nggak ada kaca yang pecah di situ.
babysitting services, dry cleaning, valet. I mean, you've
Aku
got a
aja bangga
world-class
yang
spa
membunuhnya karena
downstairs.
aku yakin orang
6
itu pintar.
different pools that you
I
can
like the
choose from.
story.
You could go to a different pool every single day. They've got yoga classes,
Ya, bentuknya kayak
tennis
pondok
courts
gitu
on
kan.
the property.
Di pinggir
I mean, it's
pantai
part of the
ada kolamnya.
Intercontinental Hotel chain.
Bisa aja
They
sih orang
claim that
menyusup
they were the
dalam
world's
kamarnya.
first international luxury travel hotel brand, and the chain is very much synonymous with like luxury and high-end stays. It's about $300 a night if you book early in advance. So to put it in comparison, you could actually find budget
Ada
hotels in
kaca
Bali
yang
for as little as
retak,
$15.
pecah nggak ada sih.
So these are going to be like your hostels. And then you can find mid-range hotels for about $40 to $100 a night, and luxury hotels go upwards of $200 a night. I mean, of course, you have the ultra-luxury 5-star hotels like the Bulgari Resort or like the St. Regis. Those go for like over $1,000 a night. But the Intercontinental in Bali, I mean, this is what you consider a luxury resort that international travelers from all over the world would be very excited to stay at. So 25-year-old Lee Chi-mi,
Kasus ini
we're
nggak
gonna call him
viral ya
Lee,
di sini.
and 22-year-old his girlfriend Chen Jia-nan, we're gonna call
KKB
her
kah?
Gia.
Bukan.
We're
KKB
staying at the
mulu.
Intercontinental
Halo
Hotel in
Nova,
Bali.
welcome Nova,
Now,
selamat datang.
side note, considering this is a very, very new case and because of different privacy laws in other countries, we just don't have that much background on the couple. We don't have much about their personal lives as we normally do. So with that being said, we do know
Yo,
that people who knew
masalah
the couple
korbannya juga
described
masih
them
nggak
as
terlalu
the
terkenal.
ideal Chinese couple. That's how they were talked about. So in
Yang
terms of
diketahuin
even
cuma
just
mereka tuh cuma
conventional
kayak
beauty
pasangan yang
standards,
ideal doang.
both of them checked all the boxes. People said they looked like an idol couple. Like they're both very young, very fit, very conventionally attractive, and also incredibly wealthy. Yes, they had it all. So Lee, the boyfriend, he's got this very unique hairstyle. It's faded on the sides, and then at the top it's very long that he would put it into this sleek ponytail. And he just looked very unique in a very cool way. He had that aura about him. I mean, it made sense. You would look at him and he'd be like, oh, I'm in the crypto world. And you're like, that
Sorry,
makes
ngelap,
sense.
oh,
You
nggak
look
apa-apa.
like it. It's
Atau
so
mungkin
cool.
mereka
He
keracunan.
looks very
Enggak lah,
cool.
orang kan
He would always
lukanya
wear
luka
nice
tusuk.
watches, drive nice cars, very indicative of his successful career. And Lee was said to have been a high school dropout, which a lot of people, that's impressive by his level of success. To become part of the 1% feels nearly impossible already. But in China, the statistics of becoming a self-made millionaire without daddy's money and without a degree from one of the top colleges in the nation, it's like a dog's dream.
Iya, mereka
I guess we would say
kayaknya
in
dari
Korean.
kripto sih.
Dog string?
Yeah, it's like there's no point in even it's almost nonsense. It's
Bang, ada yang
so
spam tuh.
nonsensical. Don't even talk
Kenapa
about it. It's not even
preman
a dream
nanti
at this point.
diblokir lo sama
Yeah, it's stupid, meaningless, and pointless to
Halo
think about
princess,
because it's
welcome,
never
welcome.
going to happen. But the fact that he made it happen and he was a multi-millionaire at 25 years old, very impressive. And then we have Gia, Lee's 22-year-old girlfriend. She was studying broadcasting at university, and people said she was very pleasant. She was very fun to be around, and everyone described her of just being very gentle. She had what they called a good temper. Okay, which it sounds weird in America to be like, a good temper? Who describes someone as having a good temper? A lot of people in a lot of Asian countries will describe people like that, and it just means that they're very patient, rational, very good at handling their emotions. It's like a common way to describe
Ini
people these
apa?
days. It's
Lagi
someone with a lot of
sambil
positive
farming
traits.
sambil nonton
So Gia made a
acara
lot of friends in college, and she
kayak
just really liked to document
kriminal
her
gitu.
life on social
Kasus-kasus
media.
kriminal.
And from the outside, this couple was perfect. And maybe they
Dan
were.
ini kasusnya tentang
Gia would post
pasangan
about her cute
warga negara
relationship.
Cina
Lee
yang
was
dibunuh di
always so
kamar
kind to her,
hotel
and they
mewah
started
di
dating
Bali
in
gitu.
2021, so they had been together for like 2
Tahun
years now.
ini
He
2023.
constantly just whisked her away on all these trips around the world. I mean, some of their
Kasusnya tapi
favorite
nggak
spots
viral
were
ya, gue bahkan
Malaysia,
nggak tahu.
Cambodia, Thailand, Indonesia. He bought her designer bags. She was always in his Rolls Royces or all of his other supercars because this guy is very wealthy.
Wow.
But they weren't annoying. They both valued family and friends. So they're not like, ooh, I only care about money and I only care about flexing. Like they had a huge social circle of people that they really loved spending time with. And as much as they loved having money, both of them did not come from wealthy backgrounds. Instead of being jealous, those close to the couple, they said that they were really proud of just how far they'd come. To go against all odds and make it, you
Bayam
can't help
merah.
but be impressed by someone
Jadi
like
Cina
that.
apa boleh?
And I
Ini
think
Cina bukan
25-year-old
boleh.
Lee, being that young, making that
My
amount of
hometown
money,
friend,
I don't think
yeah.
his friends and family would have
Di
been
Bali
surprised
deh.
if he was like, you know what? I just want to date
Oh,
around.
China. Oh, you are
I want to
Chinese.
see
Okay.
what kind of women are out there. I want to see who I can date. But he was so serious about Gia. I mean, prior to their Bali vacation, he basically told everyone that he was going to marry her. In America, that sounds like he said, hey guys, I'm going to propose to her, right? In China, it's interesting. There is an action that you can take that is more serious than proposing. It shows a higher level of commitment than proposing. And that is changing your household registration from one city to another city.
Aku nggak iso
Like, this is
Inggris.
bigger
Ada
than
translatannya
moving
bahasa
in
Indonesianya
together,
kok di
bigger than
bawah.
proposing. This is basically
Di bawahnya.
signing the marriage license. This was kind of mind-blowing for me, so hopefully I can explain it well. So in China, household registration systems exist. Just like how you could be registered to Orange County in California or LA County in California.
Halo Arif,
But it's not
welcome
like,
Arif.
It's not like the US where all your registration means,
udah
oh,
mau
that's the amount of
penuh.
property taxes you pay, or it's not even about voting. I believe you cannot even buy a house in certain cities unless you are registered to that city.
Yeah.
So unless you have a Beijing registration, you can't buy a condo, apartment, or house in Beijing,
Oh,
even if you have the money.
Rabun dekat ke.
So major
Waduh.
cities,
Halo
everyone's
preman,
trying to
kenapa
migrate
ini?
for opportunities like Beijing, Shanghai, and they have registration caps. So you can't save up money to move there and
Jangan
buy a
spam
place.
atau
You have
preman.
to physically switch your registration.
Nanti.
So at first, the system was put into place to control the mass movement of people just moving to the bigger cities and trying to prevent overpopulation. But now it's almost a gatekeeper of socioeconomic mobility, meaning the system assigns each person to a household registration unit
Udah mau
based
penuh
on their
nih.
place of birth or their parents' place of birth. And people registered to rural areas have fewer opportunities than the ones that are
Halo
registered to
Arjun,
urban
welcome
areas.
Arjun.
And it's like purely based on birth
Kenapa bang?
location.
Parmin
So it keeps
dompet
rich city
kosong kah?
residents rich and poor
Hah?
rural
Farming,
residents
iya.
poor. The
Ya
household
lumayan,
registration can
farmingnya
impact
bisa
a person's access
menghasilkan.
to healthcare, education,
Dikit lagi penuh
employment,
sini.
and other social services. So the system has been highly criticized for
Abis
just
ini
its
kita ganti game deh.
discriminatory effects. It's even heavily impacting societal trends. This is so fascinating. Marrying someone with a Beijing or Shanghai household registration is like marrying a US citizen. Like, yes, love is probably a prerequisite, but it's also a chance to move to what is often perceived by a lot of people as a place with more opportunities. I believe in recent years, China is trying to reform this whole system, but I think as far as like 2014, you can do it as long as you get a job in
Hai
that city,
Bang
but it's just very
Akre.
complicated.
Halo Arli,
And that is
welcome.
why
Natsuha,
him
welcome back.
changing his household registration to Gia City is like, I am so committed to this girl. Like, I'm ready
Rotaneo,
to
mas,
move
hah?
there and uproot
Rotaneo.
my life. I want to marry this girl. That's the level of commitment.
Rotaeno apa?
And this
Rotaneno.
specific trip to Bali, it was supposed to be a graduation gift for Gia since she's about to graduate with her broadcasting degree. Unfortunately, neither of them would make it back
Kurang
home
ininya
alive.
Oracle kami.
So their bodies were found on May 1st. And 5 days after, on May 6th, the official social media account called Bali Chinese Consulate released a statement. And I've shortened it for all the parts that matter, and it says, 2 Chinese citizens were found dead at the Intercontinental Hotel in Bali a few days ago. The Chinese consulate is working closely with the local police and is continuing to follow the case's progress. We have briefed the families to go to Bali to deal with the aftermath. We are working with the Chinese consulate to ensure the personal safety of Chinese citizens traveling in Bali. It did not do what I think they thought it would do. I mean, I think they thought, okay, this is good enough to make everyone feel like we're all working together, we're all working on it. But instead, they didn't answer anything. There were no further answers or a statement that made the case feel kind of tied up.
Yeah,
and
shit,
this
jatuh
pushed
dong.
this to headlines all over China. Chinese netizens were like, wait, what just happened? 2 Chinese
Jatuh
wealthy
dong.
tourists in a very nice luxury resort were found dead? A young couple? What's going on? And in growing media reports, more information was released about the
Bigon
crime
yang mana
scene,
Bigon?
as well as leaked photos
juga
from the
babi,
crime scene.
waduh.
Which please,
Oh,
please,
Baygon,
please,
welcome,
please,
Baygon,
if you are
welcome.
doing
Selamat
your own
datang.
research on this case,
Manggilnya Bigon
please,
dong.
please be
Kira
careful.
apa?
The
Welcome,
crime
Baygon.
scene photos on this case are very scary, easy to access and to view, and the families of the victims have asked they not be
Untung
spread
nggak
or
ditunjukin
shared, so just
fotonya.
please be
Serem
careful.
katanya.
Anyway, more updates are given to the public about the crime scene, and everyone is just kind of scratching their heads. They're trying to piece together the scene and just to like visually walk you through the crime scene before we get to the autopsies. It was reported that the living room inside the hotel room was ransacked. So there were certain parts of their room that were fine, and then certain parts where there were just like random broken beer bottles, there were blood splatter on the walls. It just looked like a mess. But the thing is, nothing was stolen. And that becomes a big thing later. So it's not like someone ransacked the place and they're like, ha, I got
Ada
your
yang
watch, I
masuk
got your
terus kayak-
jewelry, now let's go. It kind of looked like a fight had broken out.
Iya kayak berantem di situ ya.
And then Gia was found unclothed in the bathtub. Her body was half submerged in water and her pajamas were tied tightly around her neck. There were streaks of blood all over the ground
Preman
in the
ini tim
hotel
batu.
room, and
Iya
one
deh, emotnya batu
continuous
terus.
streak that led out of the
Oke,
hotel
gue
room
juga lagi
and down the
getokin batu.
hallway of the
Dikit
second
lagi
floor.
deh.
I know it's
Gua
confusing
tunggu dia
because the
spawn
room
aja
is
lah batunya.
4223, but it's the second floor. So that's what the crime scene looks like. But what else? You know, what about the autopsies? Can they tell us something the crime scene doesn't? Let's start with Gia's. Gia had been killed in the bathtub, and unlike Lee, her boyfriend, she had 0 open wounds. Because remember how I said he was stabbed with a broken beer bottle?
Oh iya,
She had
cowoknya mati
0
ditusuk.
open wounds.
Ceweknya matinya
None.
nggak ada.
There were some shallow, non-fatal, not really like bleeding cuts on her neck, almost like scratches. There was nothing that would lead to her to bleed much. Her neck was dark with bruises, and her PJs were still wrapped around her neck when she was brought into the morgue. She did, however, have multiple bruises on her right hand, right knee, and the right side of her forehead. So it looked like someone took a blunt, not sharp, not something that could pierce her
Senjata
skin and break
tumpul
open
berarti.
the skin,
Ceweknya dibunuh
but
dengan
like a
senjata tumpul.
blunt, dull
Wow, ngeri
object,
banget.
and hit her on the right side of the head with it,
Aku tersesat
potentially
nyariin
on her knees and
lilinnya.
hands as well.
Tadi
They
ditaruh
looked
mana?
more
Waduh,
like
pengen
wounds that someone
pengen
would have
ngepet
inflicted to
dong.
kind of subdue someone rather than kill. Like, I'm just trying to gain control over this situation. But it didn't look like someone was hitting her with the force and intent to kill her with that. Going by the autopsy, it was likely that Gia was ambushed while she was taking a bath. Someone or multiple individuals walked in, saw her pajamas laying on the floor or the chair, grabbed those, hit her on the head with a blunt object to subdue her, and then strangled her to death with her own pajamas. And originally, it was believed
Berita
that
apa
she was
ini? Ini
killed by the
kayak kasus
pajamas and that she
pembunuhan
had died of
di
manual
Bali
strangulation. But the
Juli
autopsy showed that the
2023
truth
ini.
was much more unfortunate. Authorities believe she put up a fight.
2 bulan yang
So
lalu
she
berarti
was
belum lama.
splashing around the bath to try and fight off the killer or killers, but ultimately the water was a big
Mau
problem.
mamot nggak kalian? Ah, mau
Gia
apaan?
was found with foam
Berita
at her
tebak-tebakan.
nose and mouth areas, which can point to the fact that she improperly inhaled water. Meaning, while she's fighting off her killer or killers, she's inhaling water and it's going down the wrong pipe. It's going down her airways. She died partially from strangulation and partially from drowning.
Oh,
Water was found in her respiratory tract.
matinya antara
She would have
tenggelam
likely
atau
felt like
dicekik.
she was being waterboarded, is what the sources say. Like, have you guys ever
Oh.
drank water, but it enters the wrong tube, is kind of how you call it, like the quote, wrong tube, and it goes down your trachea? Your body will start reacting instantly. You're gonna have like a
Anjay, iklan.
a coughing fit. Your eyes are gonna water, and it's an uncontrollable response. Like, no matter how much you try to hold it in, you're gonna be coughing up a storm. But since Gia was also being strangled
Gua
at
milih
the same
mesu,
time,
ah.
she was unable to
Bigon enak
cough up
tau.
some of that water.
Babi.
So it was a very brutal,
Rawena.
gruesome death, and
Enak
this
tahu,
becomes important
astagfirullahaladzim.
later.
Kalian makannya.
Now, let's go over
Makan
Lee,
minumnya
the
baygon,
boyfriend's
makannya
autopsy.
babi.
Lee had more than
Gimana
20
Halo Billy,
open
welcome,
wounds across
welcome.
his neck, both sides of his torso, chest, and back. His back. So not like where the obliques are, but his back. This is so important later, so keep it in mind.
Di belakang.
The
Kok-
largest wounds were measured to be about 5 inches
Berarti
long.
ditusuknya dari
So
belakang,
that's
dari
like a
diserangnya dari
little bit
belakang.
shorter
Jelas berarti
than
ada
the length of most
pelakunya,
smartphones.
bukan
So look at your phone, right?
bukan bunuh diri berarti.
The depths of the wounds varied, so some were deep, but a lot of them seemed to be very shallow. Also keep that in note, you know? But don't worry, I'm gonna remind you later too. The shape, angle, and cut of his wounds, they matched a glass beer broken bottle edge. So most
Di-
likely someone had smashed a beer bottle,
Senjatanya
broken the
pakai-
glass of it, and then started stabbing him with it.
Pakai
And
botol
Lee's
pecah
cause of
dong.
death was loss of blood.
Oh.
So to give you more context on how bad this is, none of his injuries were instantly fatal. So it wasn't like there was a knife or a sharp object to his
jangan
heart or to
naruh
his
link
brain.
di sini.
The wounds were just deep enough to keep him very much alive. So alive that he was able to crawl for help for 20 minutes as he slowly bled to death. He died from blood loss. In order for an average adult human being to die of blood loss, they need to lose about a third to a half of their total blood volume. Which, if you think about it, that's a lot of blood. It's said that an average human male has about 1.5 gallons of blood. And if you lose about half of it, that's about 12 cups of blood, or like 2 of these of blood. Remember how I mentioned the crime scene photos were released? Well, there was a detail that netizens saw in them, and they were kind of waiting for this to be in the autopsy results for Lee. I do just want to make it clear that authorities, the media, news sources have never reported on this particular part of the case. It's mainly a discussion held by netizens on forums, but it is a huge part of this case in whole, so I can't not include it. The crime scene photos seem to depict Lee without his private parts.
Waduh.
The pictures are incredibly pixelated, so nobody can really say with 100% confidence. A few netizens pointed it out, and many more netizens wanted to call them out for being conspiracy theorists. But it seems like when they saw the crime scene photos, they too...
Katanya dia meninggalnya tanpa private part, tanpa kelaminnya anjir. Kelaminnya udah antara dipotong atau gimana gitu, dimutilasi sih kayaknya. Tapi bagian itunya doang loh anjir, ngeri banget.
Came to the same theories and speculations. I would say like 90% of netizens were like, yeah, I feel like they were severed off. And they argued, sure, you could say that this happened sometime else, or maybe it was like a genetic condition, but like, what are the odds of that? It looks like it must be connected to this case.
Wow.
I did unfortunately come across the photos multiple times during the research, and I do not advise you to look for them. Just by looking at the picture, I don't think that there's any way to tell with certainty. Like, none of this is 100%. That, like, the pictures, like I said, are incredibly pixelated. So again, this is just what a lot of netizens were saying. And they were looking for this detail in the autopsy, and it wasn't there. So they were like, that's a little weird. So this suggestion, this theory that Lee's private parts were cut off plays a huge role in a lot of the theories of what happened to the couple later, so that's the only reason I'm bringing it up. And then, of course, no crime can happen on vacation without this becoming a huge point of contention, which is, let's go over the toxicology reports. The reports revealed absolutely zero pesticides, dangerous drugs, narcotics, or alcohol present in both
Habis
of
ini
their
kita nonton yang
bodies.
seru-seru aja ya guys ya. Ntar habis ini.
Okay, so many
Habis
contradictions
video
in
ini.
this. Gia was literally found in a bathtub with an open bottle of wine next to the tub, as if she was enjoying her bath. There were beer bottles everywhere in the room. What about that? Honestly, I don't know what to tell you. We tried going through a bunch of different articles and statements, even forums, and authorities
Bang,
don't
itu apa yang di
really ever
atas?
address
Orang
this
Fadil,
inconsistency.
welcome.
So I guess it could be argued
Ini aku
that the
sambil
couple
nonton
maybe drank a
kayak
little bit, but
cerita
metabolized the alcohol, and maybe their
kriminal
toxicology
yang
tests weren't
terjadi
done right
gitu,
away.
yang
Because on average,
ini terjadinya di
alcohol
Bali.
is only detectable
2
in the
bulan lalu
deceased for
di
about
Bali.
48 hours post-mortem. So
Kayaknya udah
maybe it
jadi
was done
tua.
after that. Either way,
Nanti
maybe they didn't drink
kita
at all,
ganti
or they metabolized
video
it,
yang
and
lebih
too
fun
much time
aja.
had passed
Ini
before
terlalu
the medical
agak dark
examiners
sih.
could test.
Tapi nanggung
With
udah
all
segini.
of these details being leaked to the press,
Anjir 2 jam dong.
netizens in China and
Nah, sekarang
Indonesia
aja lah ganti aja. Kejadian Indonesia sih. Bahasa Inggris ya udah nih gantilah. Gue juga udah bete nonton yang video dark kayak gitu, nggak fun.
Apa ukuran kebahagiaan?
Terasa besar
Bentar.
dari hal kecil.
Iklan
Nikmati
dong.
lebih banyak lagi di kinder.com.
Ya Allah. Iklan lagi. Kumpulan kata-kata baper, kata Meisita. Oke, kita lihat.
Bau-baunya jadian tapi nggak dihalalin.
Bangke. Baunya jadian tapi nggak dihalalin.
Dulu. Yang dibales itu
Bang,
chat
live
kamu,
camping
bukan
solo
perasaan
horor
kamu.
dong. Waduh. Nggak ada koneksi dong kalau camping horor. Camping solo mah.
Nggak usah ngemis-ngemis perhatian.
Apa ukuran sebagian
Nggak usah
teks
juga
hilang?
ngemis-ngemis kesetiaan. Kalau emang dia beneran cinta, dia itu tahu harus berbuat apa. Karena
Anjay.
percaya deh, cinta akan bekerja dengan sendirinya.
Anjay. 1359 dari 1371 dikit lagi.
Usahakanlah kamu menjadi
Bang,
yang
coba lihat
terbaik.
line up Molly Brimstone Valorant. Waduh. Nggak terlalu nge-hype sama Valo. Nanti aja lah.
Jalan-jalan ke Tangerang. Jangan lupa
Wah,
beli
anjay.
selang. Nggak usah keseringan ngomong sayang kalau ujung-ujungnya menghilang.
Hai Sakura, halo
Gaya banget
Autumn
ya
Sakura,
kamu.
welcome Natsuha, welcome.
Orang lain banting harga. Kamu pikir aku kerupuk di warteg, ha? Selalu ada tapi bukan menu utama. Bukan, bos.
Nah, ini bukan yang video yang seru, ntar lo coba video-video Meisita yang seru. Oke, boleh. Ini aja yang lucu aja.
Anaknya jadi batagor. Makanya lucu banget. Ini biasanya komenannya asik. Mari kita lihat Min. Adik sepupu gua namanya Semarang, ayahnya Kendal jadi sendal. Oh, pernah nggak sih ngalamin karena kayak orang-orang tuh respect sama orang lain, nggak sama kamu karena orang itu lebih cakep dari kamu?
Kami sadar dulu deh. Kami pernah, kayaknya enggak sih harusnya. Aku yakin kami pasti kayak silakan red carpet udah disiapin gitu di depan.
Nggak begitu, aku pernah.
Oh iya.
Suara aku tuh nggak kedengeran, kayaknya orang tuh kayak nggak mau ngeliat muka aku karena ngeliat ada yang lebih seksi, cantik, terus tetenya kemana-mana. Matanya nggak ada yang mau ngeliat ke aku, ada.
Terus perasaan kami gimana?
Dia kayak merasa pengen gedein tete.
The fuck, man.
Halo gengs, maniak apa kabar? Dari
Halo,
Sabang
Tum Sakura,
sampai
welcome,
Merauke, dari yang
welcome.
muda sampai yang tua.
Oke, Bang Son.
Pengen ngechat duluan, pengen video call duluan, tapi takut dibilang naksir. Padahal kan emang iya. Salam satu rasa, itikiwin.
How much terror
Anjir,
can
iklan
cavalry
lo.
units bring to a charge? Not even 10,000 strong orcs can stop a 2,000 heavy cavalry coming at them. Equipped with iron armor and
Dikit
sharp.
lagi penuh tasnya.
Oke, kembali lagi di My Reaction.
Ini reaction.
Oke, maniak sayang, di video kali ini aku bakalan nge-reaction video-video yang ada di
12.6
TikTok. Video-videonya lagi
13.62 dikit
trending-trending.
lagi.
Tapi aku gak bakal sendirian, aku mau minta temenin sama Oke, langsung aja kita panggilin Desti. Hai guys. Ketemu lagi.
Kar, ini berapa?
Aku senang nonton
Size-nya
sama kamu.
24.
Tapi hari ini
Lumayan
aku
juga.
mau bongkar-bongkar isi TikTok bareng sama kamu.
Gas boleh.
Akan kuserahkan.
Oke.
Iniku. Jadi aku yang denger aja.
787 ya.
Memakai earphone ajaib kita, guys.
Yes, oke guys. Langsung aja kita hurain ke. Yang tengah kenapa tuh? Oh, berat kali itu pasti itu anak pertama. Baru mau ngomong anak pertama.
Kirain malu ternyata
Itu kayak
melinja.
diam dulu. Emang kadang cewek tuh pada begitu.
Iya, malu-malu kucing ya.
Oh ya, tapi diam bukan berarti tidak tahu apa-apa. Cie.
Anjay.
Haya.
Woman.
Kadang yang lugu itu
Tahu segalanya. Anjay. Kisah haru di ATM.
Kisah haru di ATM.
Dari ATM.
Ngambil.
Ngambil apa?
Tadi kamu
Ngambil hikmahnya.
Terus gue nunggu duit. Sama dompetnya kan, sama dompetnya.
Nunggu duit sama dompetnya.
Terus gue
Ada
cek
duitnya.
kan, gue lihat ada SIM,
Widih.
KTP, terus STNK, sama surat-surat yang lain.
Sama
ya.
surat-surat yang lain.
Terus ngapain? Ya gue lihat KTP-nya, alamatnya. Gue lihat alamatnya. Ini alamatnya nggak jauh nih, udah masih di sekitar
Jakarta Timur.
sekitar M situ. Udah, karena dekat kan ya, gue pikir dekat, gue nganterinnya gue santai-santai aja, gue jalan sambil gue anterin, gue cari-cari.
Temu akhirnya orangnya?
Temu.
Di mana itu?
Ya yang alamat KTP itu yang gue cari. Nah, punya bapak-bapak. Ternyata, iya, bapak-bapaknya yang ini keluar.
Terus?
Buset, saking senengnya kali ya. Gua sampai dipeluk-peluk, terima kasih.
Sampai dipeluk?
Iya, begini, terima kasih deh, terima kasih gitu.
Terus?
Saking senengnya. Gua bilang ya namanya kita ini ya.
Apa? Kok kayak sedih gitu bapaknya?
Oh ya udah.
Makanya kumpul jam 6 tadi
niat
wah.
gua cuma
Ada apa emang tadi jam 6?
Ya habis gua ngasih, udah gua mau balik tuh.
Iya, habis balik.
Iya, gua mau balik terus dipanggil sama dia kan.
Suruh ngapain?
Panggil katanya. Diselipin apa sih namanya, duit. Gua katanya kasihnya duit buat tanda terima kasih gitu.
Terus lu ambil?
Gua nggak mau lah, niat gua ikhlas kan. Duit gua ikhlas.
Wih,
Pak, nggak usah pak, nggak usah pak.
Berarti duitnya nggak lu ambil itu?
Ya tadinya gua nggak ini nolak. Karena dia maksa terus kan, maksa terus. Ya sambil mohon-mohon, yang pun gua nggak enak dimasukin langsung ke kantong gua.
Terus jadinya?
Mau nggak mau, wah udah gua biarin aja di kantong. Ya udah gua bilang makasih pak. Gua pulang tuh jalan.
Terus?
Lama kali.
Ceritanya bertele-tele anjir.
Kita serius banget lagi kita tuh.
Berapa sih duitnya? Buset deh nih.
Banyak?
Berapa?
Berapa?
5 juta gua dikasih.
Masya Allah.
Buset, banyak banget itu mah.
Lah iya gua saking terharunya nih ya. Dalam hati gua ngomong, Ya Allah, mudah-mudahan cerita ini jadi beneran.
Capek deh.
Anjir.
Aduh, aku menyesal 5 menit waktuku terbuang-buang.
5 menit aku yang tidak akan pernah kembali ya. Yang itu aku bisa jadikan menjadi duit mungkin. Bisa aku nikmati bersama teman-teman kan ya. Kita mendengari cerita omong kosong. Haru banget
Please, guys.
ceritanya. Haru.
Sabar deh buat kita berdua.
Ini cantik banget loh.
Orang Batak nikah sama orang Bogor, anaknya jadi Batagor.
Makanya lucu banget. Bisa jadi, bisa
Bang,
jadi.
lu nonton
Ini
LA One Piece nggak? Udah lama nggak ngikutin.
Bubuan, namanya Semarang, ayahnya Kendal, jadi sendal.
Semarang.
Receh
udah.
banget. Oh ini tuh Z tuh iya. JKT48 ya. Gila mukanya bisa se-cute itu.
Iya ya.
Jadi emang
Lucu
boleh
banget lagi.
se-cute itu.
Oh, ini cetakannya.
Emang bisa?
Anjay.
Kamu barista kan?
Iya.
Nah dia barista juga. Kamu
Harusnya
apa yang nggak
nggak?
bisa sih?
Nggak bisa.
Oh, dia bikin cappuccino tuh harusnya, Kak.
Tapi jangan bilang dia bisa.
Tapi fail kan?
Cerik kamu.
Ya, nggak bisa.
So tau gak sih Kak, itu ada tekniknya sebenarnya namanya.
Apa
Tekniknya
itu?
latte art namanya.
Susah
Jadi,
kan?
Iya, sebenarnya kalau pakai cetakan itu kurang.
Aduh.
Sebenarnya nggak bisa. Makanya aku udah
Tadi
bilang
mati
ini nggak
ya
bakal jadi.
streamingnya.
Harusnya
Nggak tahu
yang
kenapa
beneran
mati
pakai
ya.
tangan langsung.
Lagian juga kan dia mesti kayak susunya tuh di kayak di
Yes,
sampai bener-bener
itu
berbusa
namanya di
banget kan.
steam. Iya, foamnya harus bagus.
Sekarang emang lo
kan?
ngikutin
Kalau
series
nggak gagal
apa?
kan?
Aku
Benar banget.
cuma
Emang
ngikutin
proses itu
Musoku
menentukan
Tensei.
Hasil. Jangan dikobok ya guys.
Main kobok aja guys.
Dikit lagi deh. Satu lagi penuh nih.
Bukannya.
Anjir muka aja.
Tolong dikondisikan, tolong udah nggak masuk, tolong.
Yes.
Akan diriku semuna. Aduh itu paru-paru mahal ini 3 juta, 4 juta, 2 juta, oke 21 juta itu. Terus kita jangan bilang itu jatuh.
Ya, ya.
Wajah iya. Bener.
Kami kalau kayak gitu gimana?
Nangis ya.
Aku juga sih, meninggoy. Bisa.
Itu wangian yang mahal.
Astaga, ya Allah, Ultraman.
Ultramannya ya. Ultramannya gemuk. Dikit juga gitu.
Anjir pink. Mana buncit. Ini bukan Ultraman, ini galau men.
Koreonya bagus sih Kak, tapi Kak bisa aku ikutin ya di panggung.
Iya sih,
nanti.
tapi Stranger Pink kenapa ada yang gitunya di bawah belt? Ada nunutnya, tolong itu.
Maksudnya fokus ke situ sih.
Ini lah. Sobok. Tombol pengendali cahaya.
S2 keluar. Iya ya, yang ini yang Musoku Tensei season 2.
Kamera mundur macet.
Bang, aku cabut dulu. Thank you udah mampir Empadil. Makasih.
Jauh loh itu
Thank you.
jatuhnya.
Sorry aku lagi agak kurang konsen.
Oh, bisa menjadi penghapus. Lucu kali. Mati lepai remote. Siapa yang bikin nangis? Siapa yang harus ngelap? Jadi anduk anjir. Semua ngelempar di bekal. The power of cantik. Oh pernah nggak sih ngalamin karena
Iya, Bang.
kayak
Selalu
orang
makasih,
tuh
Pak
respect
Empadil.
sama
Thank you udah
orang lain,
mampir.
nggak sama kamu karena orang itu lebih cakep dari kamu.
Kami saya dulu nih,
Oke.
kami pernah. Kayaknya enggak sih harusnya. Aku yakin kami pasti kayak silakan red carpet udah disiapin gitu di
Nggak
depan.
begitu, aku pernah.
Oh iya.
Suara aku tuh
Sini
nggak
langsung.
kedengeran kayaknya orang tuh kayak nggak mau ngeliat muka aku karena ngeliat
Kita mau jual-jualan dulu ya, guys, sambil
tetenya kemana-mana.
lanjut.
Matanya nggak ada yang mau ngeliat ke aku, ada.
Menang tete ya. Ya Allah.
Enggak sih, mukanya ditambah cakep. Jadi kayak udah aja aku kalah telak
Terus
gitu.
perasaan kami gimana?
Ya kayak merasa pengen gedein tete. Asli laki-laki tuh kalau ngelihat fisiknya udah gimana langsung deh.
Tapi kami nggak boleh insecure.
Ya kita nggak boleh.
Look at you. Aku nyanyi jadi.
You're mine. Yours yang mana nih? Look at yours, mine.
Kita pakai busa.
Hidup busa. Pasti pegang kempes aja. Aku berharap kalau ide bagus kita ganjel pakai busa dan
Tapi
pasti
aku
pegang
pikir
kempes.
melendoy, suntik botox.
Aduh, Desi, itu bukan ide bagus. Oke, manik-manikku sayang, itulah video-video yang ada di TikTok. Nemenin kamu
naruh
pasti.
ini.
Terima kasih udah nonton, terima kasih Desi udah nemenin aku.
Oh iya,
Kalau misalnya
yang ini juga
kamu punya
Pindahin
saran
sini
nanti
juga.
konten apa yang bakal kita reaction atau mungkin Desi reaction sama Desi
Boleh.
kita
Ini
reaction
taruh
boleh.
sini.
Let's go dong.
Let's go. Sampai ketemu lagi, bye-bye.
Terus ini. Kita taruh sini. Oh, nggak muat ya. ya. Yaudah, ini kita kosong-kosongin dulu aja. Ini taruh sini. Ini terus ini.
Lo harus mulai deh. Buka hati, buka
Terus
pikiran
ini.
lo buat kesempatan baru.
Gue nyerah jatuh cinta di dunia nyata.
Ini terus ini.
Gue ngerasa lebih
Ya iklan film bioskop baru. Halo Natsuha, welcome back.
Gimana kok?
Sorry tadi mati.
Wah!
Itu malaikat kecilku.
Iya.
The hell.
Sari
roti,
perawan ceraya terus telolet mantu Pak
Perawan sangat terus. Hah? Pak Agus, ini nih. Masa dimicet cuman 100? Waduh, kayak jarang adus mambu basreng. Halo gengs, maniak apa kabar? Dari Sabang sampai Merauke, dari yang muda sampai yang tua. Jadi jomblo itu jangan sedih. Jomblo itu cool, tahu nggak? Kulang pelatihan. Salam satu rasa, itu kiwir. Oke, kembali lagi di May Reaction.
May reaction.
Oke, menak-menak aku sayang. Aku tuh pusing denger kalian ya. Atau enggak aku baca di tweets. Sekarang kan lagi musimnya tweets ya. Kayak ngomong curhat-curhat tentang ceweknya gitu. Ceweknya kayak, cewek aku tuh begini banyak maunya, ribet banget bla 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 bla. Ih, kenapa sih? Padahal tuh cewek tuh maunya tuh cuman 1, tahu nggak? Semuanya.
bukan satu
Tuh kan?
anjir.
Kenapa sih kalian tuh para cowok kayak gitu? Keinginan kita tuh cuma 1.
Semuanya dong.
Semuanya. Maniak aku sayang. Jadi di video kali ini aku mau nge-reaction tentang hiburan untuk kalian para warga 62. Kita terus bangga loh jadi warga 62 loh.
Banyak hiburan.
Iya. Kalau warga 6666 tuh dajal nanti.
Aduh.
Maka penasaran kayak apa? Langsung aja kita urain. Kai.
Kau ni apa? Kau tinggal sini ke?
Kan buat isi bensin itu.
Ya sepeda mobil.
Oh ya, yang lain isi bensin, ini isi kebahagiaan. Oke. Oh my god, aku salut sama ininya, babang tukang Pertaminanya.
Gabut ya gitu.
Nah, ini kan marah-marah, jangan marah-marah.
Halo Bang Sin. Halo Bang. Welcome. Wih, makasih bunganya Bang Sin. Thank you Natsuha, welcome, selamat datang. Thank you. Makasih. Taruh ini berapa?
Oh, ini sebelumnya.
Iya, makasih Bang. Thank you udah mampir.
Kepada orang tua, Besti. Zaman sekarang karma tuh macam perosotan. Cepat kali, Bang. Opet.
Izin sniping lagi bunga. Iya, thank you, makasih banget. Bentar, ini aku mau crafting 237 bagi 6 dapatnya cuma 309. Anjir jatuh.
Emang belum tentu kalian tuh kalau kayak cewek-cewek, gua mah yang penting cowok gua motornya keren gitu kan. Belum tentu yang motornya keren itu punya adab. Kayak begitu macamnya. Kayak macam bawa karung beras aja main jeng. Jadi kalian tuh kalian nggak punya motor bagus nggak apa-apa. Buat kalian juga cewek-cewek yang suka ya cuman sama siapa aja penting motornya bagus. Motor kita jelek memang sejuta cerita, betul nggak? Motor dia mungkin sejuta sebulan.
Natsuha, welcome back. Mondar-mandir aja.
Motor jelek sejuta cerita, motor dia sejuta sebulan.
Very good, very well. Dikento jangan rewel.
Anjir.
Karepmu Mas. Iya gimana ya Bang?
Very good, very well.
Ya Bang. Aduh, pengen ditutup kalender dulu boleh nggak sih? Kalau nggak rewel mana swell. Lu punya lampu, lu punya kuasa.
Wih, thank you for like stick, thank you for coconut, thank you, makasih. By the way, what shall I call you?
Bercandanya.
Gimana namanya? Aku nggak tahu harus manggil apa. 39.
Kasian lo Bang, lu punya lampu, lu punya kuasa.
Lu punya. Iya juga sih.
Ibu tidak membuat susu malaikat kecilku.
39.
Jangan begitu kalian yang suka bikin konten-konten begitu yang nanggung begitu.
Bangke.
Kirim bola api kau ya. saja. Kau pancing-pancing, kau tenangkan pula,
78.
kau hancurkan aku dengan sikapmu.
56.
Asik. Damage nih nggak ada obat nih. Widih, wadidaw, cantik kali. Widih, cantik. Kayak Lisa Blackpink. Sikile ireng. Ada komennya Black rengginang. Kemana sih itu udah cantik? Hah? Ireng. Duhur glowing sikile koyo jahe bakar. Seng penting
Jahat.
ojo gerimis ndak luntur. Aku nggak ngelihat itu ya, menurut aku tuh cantik. Sikile ireng apa? Perasaan enggak ya? Kalian tuh emang mata-mata kalian itu ya penghujat.
Anjay, yang nyukur gitu.
Waduh, ini yang motong kayak begini. Wah, ini sih definisi iya sih dipotong pendek. Tapi dipotong pendek ada yang memanjang kalau kayak gini. Kayak langsung minta auto. Oh, aku 1 hari harus 3 kali potong rambut. Rambut mana aja pokoknya potong.
Sari roti,
Alah, Bui.
perawan cerah terus telolet.
9 kali 2,
Perawan sangat.
16.
Agus, Pak Agus, ini nih. Masa dimicet cuman 100? Waduh, jarang adus mambu basreng. Jarang adus mambu basreng. Aduh.
Tani. Ah,
Oh, matahari kecil. Oh, matahari besar.
Hai desainer, udah tahu Kohom belum? Buat kamu yang belum tahu,
Favorite blank.
Kohom adalah platform desain 3D interior yang dapat diakses secara online melalui browser. Kamu dapat menciptakan desain interior dalam hitungan menit saja.
Saya
Membuat
cuma
kabinet
butuh
yang dapat
18
disesuaikan,
biji.
mengatur pencahayaan dengan mudah.
Aduh,
Oke.
agak ngeri. Kenapa nih kalau yang hamil tuh harus dikasih duduk kalau di bis itu? Lu udah hamil kembar itu kok nggak dikasih duduk? Simple tapi nggak semua cowok mau ngelakuinnya. Di saat sedang ramai berita perselingkuhan, tapi lihat lagi ini. Oh my god, ini ayangnya. Lucu ya orang gini.
Halo Faris, welcome Faris, selamat datang.
Ya ampun. Tapi bisa jadi dia jomblo sebenarnya, ya kan?
Pacar orang berarti itu.
Pacar orang bisa jadi.
Sekarang 1000.
Tapi banyak
kan?
orang kalau
Ntar cek
bener
dulu
iya
deh.
tuh kayak beruntung banget dapet cowok kayak gitu loh.
Ntar.
Tapi aku lebih beruntung lagi kalau misalnya di sini tuh scan QR code langsung ke rekening aku gitu.
Betul.
Lihat-lihat bayar. Lihat-lihat pacar aku bayar.
Glittering ebony. Harganya berapa sekarang?
Candu banget geleng-geleng kepalanya, Bang, gimana?
Glittering ebony.
Oke.
Halo Fer, welcome Fer, selamat datang.
Lagi. Agak candu nih lagunya. Ikutin ya.
Glittering ebony sekarang harganya di 56. Wah, of course not.
Belum.
Nggak akan ini.
Kok anjay sih, astagfirullahaladzim. Diskon sesuai ukuran. Oh my god, aku udah pasti nggak masuk ini.
58.
Oh, masuk ke situ sih mesti dicek gizi. Mesti ketemu ahli gizi nih. Kalau orang yang sombong lebih parah lagi, Jam.
harganya turun.
Badannya lolos, palanya nyangkut. Punya kamu lebih parah, Jam. Kepala lolos, badan lolos, itunya nyangkut. Nafsunya gede. Ngeri. Oke, banyak kesayang, itulah video-video random warga 62. Mau nggak mau itulah yang terjadi di negara kita tercinta ini. Yang kita lakuin itu ya ketawain aja, ambil positifnya, jadi bahan buat kayak ningkatin imun. Yang baiknya dicontoh, yang jeleknya kasih anjing. Karena sebenarnya tuh ya mau jahat mau baik itu tuh tetap harus jadi contoh. Yang baik kita contoh perilakunya. Nah, yang tidak baik juga jadi contoh. Yang tidak baik contoh untuk tidak ditiru. Jadi sebenarnya sama-sama contoh.
29 lah.
Ini perkara mindset.
Waduh.
Tai. Salam satu rasa. Itu kiwi.
Glittering ebony.
Nih contoh yang baik nih. Ini sangat bermanfaat gerakan ini.
38 bagi 5 7. Iya 7. Cuma bisa bikin 7. Oke, kita next video.
Oh iya.
Next
Maksud
Megang.
hati itu ingin menggenggam tangan, tapi yang digenggam malah burung perkutut, Besti. Izin minta apa itu kok uang?
Satu aja.
Buat apa? Beli susu?
Anjing.
Keren aku teh itu teh warung. Kayak, lo mau beli apa? Susu. Kayak gitu. Halo gengs, maniak, apa kabar? Dari Sabang sampai Merauke, dari yang muda sampai yang tua. Hai, abang-abang, kita ini tulang rusuk, woi. Jangan dong dijadiin tulang punggung. Remuk. Salam satu rasa, itikiwit. Oke, kembali lagi di May Reaction. Oke, manik-manik kesayang. Seperti biasa di video kali ini aku bakal nge-reaction video-video yang bakal bikin kalian itu ngerasa happy. Lupa masalah pinjol-pinjol kalian. Mukamu itu loh kelihatan mumet banget. Banyak utang pinjolnya banyak. Iya. Selain utang pinjol itu rungkat di slot, ya kan? Rungkat di slot biasanya kan. Hari ini kita lupakan semua. Mari kita ketawa hahihi bareng aku. Oke, penasaran kayak apa? Langsung aja kita hurain. Kuy.
Mas Budi.
Mas Budi.
Ingetkah di atas meja pijat itu? Mas Budi minta dipijat sama Mak Ita.
Waduh, Mak Ita.
Pindah ke spring bed warna ungu ini ya. Karena Mas Budi mau ngajak bercocok tanam dengan rayuan ngasih cincin sama Mak Ita.
Anjay, halo Kobo, welcome.
Mak Ita kangen. Ternyata cinta Mas Budi sama seperti cincin yang dibelikan ke Mak Ita. Palsu Mas Budi.
Palsu Mas Budi. Aduh, sini sama Mesita. Mari kita bercocok tanam katanya di spring bed warna ungu. Mas Budi tolong dikondisikan ya. Udah habis dipetik mangga jangan lari kemana-mana. Tidak boleh kamu ya. Kamu sudah bercocok tanam harus kau tuai hasilnya itu. Kamu jangan nyamar-nyamar jadi Mas Budi. Jangan nyamar-nyamar jadi Mas Budi. Lah, kamu yang udah ngasih cincin kan. Apa kamu tidak ingat di spring bed ungu itu, Put?
Allahu Akbar.
Benih mau kemana-mana, Put. Kamu nggak tahu. Mas Budi, Mak Ita nyariin.
Sok Nagaraya, kamera anyar, alus.
Oke.
Video naon pani mah foto. Eta yang menitan. Menit naon pani mah keluaran HP anyar.
Menit naon?
Oh, gini.
Oh, gini. Kalian ada yang ngerti nggak sih? Ayo kita foto katanya. Ini tuh HP baru.
Grewana welcome. Selamat datang.
Bukan video apa? Ini tuh foto katanya tuh. Kalian ngerti nggak sih kalau bahasa Sunda kayak gitu? Harusnya ngerti lah ya kalian ya. Ngomongin kayak gitu tuh orang Sunda tuh kayak ciri khas gitu ya. So mari kita sepanjang video ini ngomong bahasa Sunda gitu ya.
Anjay.
Ya kita lanjutkan yang mulai sekarang dengan bahasa Sunda. Aksennya aksen mahal ini teh. Aduh, itu teh gunung ya. Aduh. Baik kali ya itu ya, suaminya teh meni izin dulu. Izin minta apa itu kok uang?
Satu aja.
Buat apa? Beli susu?
Anjir, ditaruh di situ ya.
Celengan. Zaman sekarang mah gitu ya ternyata teh. Kalau mau menabung teh meni langsung ya dapat hasilnya. Kirain aku teh itu teh warung. Kayak, lo mau beli apa? Susu. Kayak gitu. Aduh. Ih, istrinya meni binangkit ya, diizinin suaminya teh minta duit teh gitu loh, Jam. Ini diperinkan tiket oleh temannya dengan ukuran jumbo. Sejumbo apa tuh emangnya teh?
Ini gue pernah lihat ngeprint tiket pesawat gede banget.
Alas ya, itu mah kayak mau nyalek. Kita lihat ekspresi bapak kayak mana. Ayo bapak dibuka bapak. Ayo unboxing bapak. Itu pun gak ada. Wah, males mukanya.
Kamu polisi siapa?
Kamu polisi siapa?
Polisi siapa? Coba kamu jangan pakai senjata. Buang senjata kita selesaikan kau. Hah?
Hah?
Aku ini bukan sabit.
Hah?
Polisi Macam gimana?
Halo Narsat, Fitri Ayu, welcome.
Aku dari Malaysia.
Oh, Malaysia?
Kamu bilang apa? Kenapa tanganmu? Itu di situ ada naga di situ. Ada naga di situ pegang. Aku ni Khalifah. Hai. Kenapa kamu yang ngurusin nikah? Siapa kamu? Coba kamu siapa? Hei. Namamu siapa?
Namamu Firman Saputra. Kamu siapa?
Siapa kamu? Namanya siapa? Siapa namanya?
Siapa namanya?
Di mana rumahnya? Hah? Di mana rumahnya?
Di mana rumahnya? Polisinya sabar banget anjir. Pura-pura gila.
Rumahku di sana namanya lampunya.
Tuh.
Aku pulang kenapa sih? Nanti kembali orang tua aku kamu mau apa?
Halo Ilya,
Capeknya aku
welcome.
betul.
Osas, halo Osas, selamat datang Osas.
Mau pegang nggak tuh aku naganya? Jangan pegang-pegang, di situ ada naga. Aku Khalifah. Apa cita-citamu? Aku bos where?
Go buy coffee.
Anjay.
You work here?
Yes, I'm the owner.
You own this?
Owner?
What is most expensive?
What is your budget?
Small budget I have.
Small budget.
Not too much. What you have?
The most expensive SF90.
This?
Yes.
How much?
2.2 million dirham.
Dirham?
Oh my god.
I need more. I need expensive, brother. I don't need this is what my driver would drive.
I need more
Show me one
expensive.
expensive car.
Everything's for sale, brother.
What, everything, no problem. But hey,
Everything
Captain,
covered.
you work here? Go take coffee.
Nggak
What is this?
nyampe otakku.
LDR rate.
Give me this and this one also.
Yeah, okay, what else?
This one
Give
one
me
also.
That Mercedes, okay? This
Mercedes.
Rolls Royce.
Hah?
And,
Semua dong itu bang.
give me one Red Bull also.
No problem.
Red Bull.
Red Bull for free.
No, take money, no problem. Keep the change.
Oh my god, ikan Red Bull ini pasti nih. Otak aku nggak nyampe. Kesultanan aku tuh cuman sampai Rafathar. Nggak nyampe itu beli-beli Rolls Royce, itu Mercedes, take this, take one itu. Aduh ya Allah. Taekwondo aku taunya. Nggak ngerti.
Sebutin nama bapak kalian tanpa harus kasih tahu namanya.
Oke.
Juga dibalik jadi itulah nama bokap gua. Gitu.
Suga Agus berarti namanya.
Suga Agus, iya.
Bapak gua ada di langit warna putih.
Apa? Kunti. Kunti.
Hah? 874 bagi 8 sama dengan
Nitip salam.
474 bagi 8.
Ya,
Apa
ya.
sih?
Aku lebih ketawa gara-gara bapaknya enggak.
Apa ya pokoknya depannya Y, belakangnya I.
109. Hah?
Yogi kali.
Nama
Yogi.
bapaknya cowok Islam yang taat agama.
Ali Tahir. Cowok Islam kan. Aku ketawa karena dia ketawa nggak sih?
109.
Nama bapaknya kalau ada baut ada titik.
Paut ada baru. Yang jual banget.
108.
Jual baut.
Oh, itu ketawanya dolar banget ya.
Udah. 218.
Oh iya.
Kelas ya. Maksud hati itu ingin menggenggam tangan tapi yang digenggam malah burung perkutut, Besti. Tolong. Nanti kalau misalnya punya cowok gitu kayak gini gitu. Aku pengen tahu yang dikasih apa. Tangan, duit, kartu ATM, HP apa bulung nunut. Pendek-pendek kesayang, itulah video-video yang semoga membuat kamu merasa lupa sama semua masalah-masalah kamu, oke? Sampai ketemu lagi di next
Norida,
video.
welcome,
Salam
Norida.
seterusnya, itu kiwir.
Oke, udah pakai baju smelting. Lupa tadi 218. Coba ini 190 aja. Wah, ada segitu. Oke, semua aja. 60 221 habis dong. Habis dong charcoalnya habis. Ntar juga iklan bodoh ini.
Silumannya muncul.
Silumannya muncul.
Aja lihat kawan-kawan.
Aduh anjir, nggak suka, aku nggak suka gini. Ih, males banget sumpah. Hah?
Anjir.
Bentar. Halo gengs Maniac, apa kabar? Dari Sabang sampai Merauke, dari yang muda sampai yang tua. Katanya kalau mau cepet punya anak harus dipancing rawat anak orang dulu. Nah, kalau pengen punya cepet jodoh, berarti
Ngerawat jodoh
harus
orang.
merawat jodoh orang dulu. Salam satu rasa, itu kewir. Oke, kembali lagi di May Reaction.
Dapat.
Oke, Maniac, aku sayang. Aku hari ini mau nge-reaction video yang miriki ding-ding lagi. Miriki ding-ding itu apa, Dam? Merinding. Nah iya, miriki ding-ding. Horor lagi. Siapin dulu kalian mentalnya, karena ini tuh agak-agak serem. Terus juga jangan nonton sendirian, nontonlah bareng aku, peganglah tanganku. Udah siap? Penasaran kayak apa? Langsung aja kita hororin, Koy! Salah dong. Langsung aja kita hororin, Koy!
Penampakan kuntilanak tertangkap
Anjir,
kamera
suara
CCTV.
hujan, ada suara burung. Belum tentu kita takut. Kalau nggak gerbangnya kebuka. Gerbangnya kebuka.
Apa itu?
Enggak dong. Ada yang ngesot, guys. Tinggi-tinggi berjubah putih, lalu menjuntai panjang terus hilang.
Seperti yang bisa kita lihat, terekam dengan jelas muncul sosok bayangan putih di halaman
Bayangan
rumah
putih.
tersebut. Sosok itu nampak seperti seorang wanita berambut
Yes.
panjang dan memakai gaun putih, dan tak
Yes.
lama sosok itu kemudian menghilang.
Menghilang dia, guys. Memang kadang wanita itu datang bagai bayangan lalu menghilang. Begitulah kisah
Ngaruh,
hororku. Seremnya aku udah kayak dengar suara itu tuh. Hujan, malam, suara burung, terus ada bayangan-bayangan. Matilah aku, mati. Kaget gua anjir, kirain anak tetangga yang lagi nangis. Astagfirullah, kejadian pagi setelah tahun baru. Jam 1.25. Hujan lagi.
Ngapain?
Iya, ada kuda.
Kok nangis di sini? Kamu siapa?
Hah? Itu anak kecilnya. Anjir, itu anak apa? Ih, serem banget.
Nggak tahu. Kenapa?
Kok suaranya?
Kok makin kenceng sih?
Anjir, rambutnya panjang.
Hujan loh ini. Yuk, masuk yuk. Siapa ini?
Anjir, ngeri ih.
Kok suaranya gitu ya nangisnya?
Yuk, masuk yuk. Kena hujan nanti, kena hujan. Yuk, kena hujan yuk. Yuk. Kena hujan nanti.
Kok kayak pakai kebaya gitu sih?
Yuk, masuk yuk.
Kirain suara doang.
Ayo masuk.
Itu kayak editan gak sih itu?
Ayo. Kenapa kamu?
Anjir. Ini suaranya aneh banget. Hilang. Wah, gila sih. Aduh, bau apa ini lagi anjir, wangi bunga.
Hilang dong. Bentar lo.
Yuk, masuk yuk.
Kirain suara doang.
Ayo masuk. Masuk ayo. Kenapa kamu?
Anjir. Ini suaranya aneh banget. Hilang. Wah, gila sih. Aduh, bau apa ini lagi anjir, wangi bunga. Jam, kamu cium nggak? Bau bunga. Nizam. Tolong. Nggak mau lanjutin yang ini, serem banget sumpah. Enggak, takut. Serius. Penampakan kuntilanak. Motovlog ini tidak sengaja bertemu dengan kuntilanak. Terlihat motovlog itu membunyikan klakson motornya untuk permisi. Jadi kan ceritanya nih ada orang naik motor, gerang, terus ngeliat kunti, terus dia bunyiin klakson motornya buat permisi gitu kan. Ting, gitu kan. Kenapa mesti klakson? Anjay, di mana kuntinya? Permisinya kemana? Kuntinya di mana? Kenapa jadi ketutupan? Anjir, ini ketar-ketir sih, takut sih anjir. Ini kayak lorong nista, panjang kali jam. Oh itu kuntinya.
Gimana lu? Kalau naik motor tiba-tiba ada gitu anjay.
Bingung. Aduh suaranya. Oh itu deh tadi aku nungguin. Ada lorong panjang. Kamu lagi naik motor, bayangin kamu lagi naik motor. Terus baru mau masuk lorong panjang itu, di depannya udah ketemu kunti tuh. Terabas saja atau putar balik?
Balik lah.
Balik juga tetap bisa dikejar. Atau lanjut juga sama aja bisa kencang.
Ya mending balik.
Mending balik ya?
Nggak lihat kan?
Nah, ini udah keburu kelihatan. Mendingan balik kalau kamu. Aku bingung, bimbang sih. Kalau aku mungkin aku tabrak dulu sih. Biar aku pastikan dia udah nggak ada baru aku melaju. Daripada aku kayak nyetir terus kencang-kencang nih. Ya kan aku kayak berasa kayak aku dikejar. Mendingan aku glindes dulu sih.
Kan udah mati. Ngapain ini?
Ya mungkin jadi hidup lagi kalau
Halo,
iya kalau hantu dimatiin
welcome.
hidup lagi atau jadinya mati 2 kali ya. Kita nontonnya harus berpegangan tangan.
Matang sih ya, ntar. Apa ini?
Biawak? Hah gimana? Gimana? Oh ada pocong.
Oh iya dong.
Pocong jam.
Yang loncat situ dong.
Kok diketawain sih kayak udah nggak ada harga dirinya pocongnya. Malah diketawain terus pocongnya lari. Aduh ini.
Barak tentara.
Jam 2 malam. Aduh jam.
Woi gerak sendiri bantalnya.
TNI pun takut.
Sendiri lagi di pos.
Ini lagi di pos.
Itu sebelah. Aduh, parah.
Ini lagi di pos dong. Pos jaga malam. Pria berloreng itu ketakutan pula. Apalagi kita yang hatinya polkadot. Penampakan hantu nyata no editan. Kejadian Sulawesi Tengah, Kabupaten Buol, tempat hutang lindung. Perbatasan. Oke. Ini apa sih? Ini anjing? Manusia kebalik kepalanya.
Anjay, serem kali.
Aduh, gimana dong? Mungkin dia mau ngasih tahu jangan lewat jalan situ ada binatang buas. Itu editan apa bukan sih? Editan ya? Bukan, mungkin konten sengaja kali ya. Tapi kok kepalanya bisa gitu?
Penampakan genderuwo asli.
Udah menggeramin.
Penampakan genderuwo asli.
Udah menggeram kok. Innalillah.
Innalillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. Kan udah mati, kenapa kau innalillahi lagi? Mana itu genderuwonya?
Allahu Akbar.
Oh gitu genderuwo ya? Allahu Akbar. Udah lah.
Anjay.
Astagfirullahaladzim, ngeblur men.
Ngeblur apanya pak?
Allah Akbar, tangannya.
Tangannya ngeblur.
Astagfirullahaladzim, ya Allah pak. Silumannya muncul.
Silumannya muncul.
Mukanya lihat teman-teman.
Nggak ada tangan sakti. Jam. Sumpah jam. Masih setengah perjalanan lagi. Kalian yang nonton ya, emang dasar ya. Kalian itu ya. Jam tanganmu jam.
Aku takut ngomong kasarnya situ.
Aku juga. Biarin kan bisa diedit. Lu yang edit. Kamu ngomong berapa kali jing juga aman jam. Kan lu yang edit. Tanganmu. Penampakan hantu penunggu RS. Takut.
Ini ya DRS dong.
Mau bantuin jadi itu susah apa jam?
Jadi pas gitu.
Anjir, kuntilanak lagi. Kuntilanak kenapa sering ada di rumah sakit sih? Rekam sosok tuyul di pemakaman siang-siang. Hah?
Ada tuyul, Bah. Gila.
Tuyul apa anak orang? Ih. Aduh anjir, nggak suka. Aku nggak suka. Gini. Ih, males banget sumpah. Luar negeri tuh lebih serem menurut aku. Aduh. Kok tinggi gitu? Iya. Ya.
Halo Kalams, welcome Kalams. Selamat datang.
Gede banget.
Anjay. Ditarik dong. Anjay, iklan. Gue lupa.
Iya.
Sedang
asik nongkrong di
Kira
pos
cewek
ronda
itu
tiba-tiba
bang,
aja.
mereka sedang nongkrong di sebuah pos ronda.
Thank you, like
Ketika
thank you.
mereka tengah asik mengobrol, tiba-tiba saja salah satu dari mereka menunjuk-nunjuk ke arah belakang, seperti melihat sesuatu yang aneh di sana.
Ada kepala nggak sih itu? Ada kepala nongol.
Besok waktunya 1 hari lagi liburan.
Sedang kayak orang itu.
Mangap anjir. Mangap.
Orang itu
Lihat jam.
orang ger.
Lihat. Ini kelakuan emak-emaknya kali di rumah. Bukan hantu kan? Aku tuh selalu berpikiran positif. Ini tuh kayak bapak-bapak selalu nongkrong di pos ronda. Ya kan? Iya kan? Bapak-bapak selalu nongkrong di pos ronda kan? Emak-emaknya nih resah, nggak pada pulang. Tercetuslah ide nih emak-emak ini nih. Kalau kita takut-takutin aja sama setan. Kalau gua ngomong udah nggak didengar katanya gitu.
Sambil crafting nggak kalian sama?
Guys, studio di sini begitu mencekam.
Terus. Yang tadi itu taruh sini lagi. Allah roto bijak sama iblis tampan.
Tadi kita lagi bahas Menara Saidah loh.
Coba reaction di Menara Saidah.
Nggak usah, suruh tidur di rumahnya Pak Hari aja.
Boleh aku lanjutin dulu sebelum aku pipis di celana? Nah, boleh aku lanjutin dulu sebelum aku pipis di celana ya?
Mr. Wave beli 9. Aduh. Sampingnya ngapain?
Bentar. Siapa itu yang gituin? Hantu apa? Hantu cabul itu? Hah? Ih, takut jam. Kalau hamil apa itu? Kok gerak-gerak sendiri? Anjir, hantu birahi. Itu aneh loh. Kadang cewek nggak bisa gerak-gerakin perutnya gitu. Ini kan perutnya kayak beneran ditekan terus gitu-gitu. Iya kan?
Ada yang kayak gitu kan ada kan. Di luar banyak.
Mas, coba sini. Kan Mas kan director kan. Coba jelaskan adegan ini. Coba ya sebagai bukan masalah gendutnya, Mas. Bukan masalah gendutnya. Nih ya. Tuh.
Halo Billy, welcome.
Kan?
Anjay, hantunya.
Itu bukan settingan kan?
Hantunya begitu amat.
Nggak mungkin dia bisa kayak neken perutnya sendiri. Tuh kan dia tidur lagi. Tuh. Bukan kan? Kalau ini beneran kan? Gimana bisa ngomong settingannya?
Karena di logika jarang banget ada orang di kamar tidur pakai CCTV. Buat apa? Betul. Terus kedua,
Aku pakai kamar tidur aku.
mungkin ada penyakit.
Kamar tidur aku pakai CCTV.
Ya, buat apa?
Nyala juga. Karena aku takut barang-barang aku kan.
Nah ini kan dia tidur berdua.
Ya aku kan udah ketahuan tidur aku sendiri.
Dia rekam di CCTV.
Ya kan aku sendirian. Nah mungkin aku
Iya, kalau dia berdua,
ngeciwiwi.
oke. Terus kedua, kalaupun iya
Salah naruh dong,
punya
saran naruh.
barang ini kan pasti keluarga mereka, terus disebarin, masukin ke YouTube biar dapat follower, dapat konten. Misalnya aku orang awam, ini kan orang awam nih, kita ngikutin, gimana aku bisa nyebarin ke YouTube? Aku masukin.
Sore cang.
Oh ya bagus soalnya gitu. Kayak buat bukti aja gitu. Nggak mungkin.
Enggak lah.
Jadi ini konten.
Konten.
Menurut kalian ini konten apa bukan? Kalau menurut aku ini real.
Konten.
Menurut Amtem konten. Coba tulis di kolom komentar. Sampai ketemu lagi di next video. Salam satu rasa, itu kiwir. Miriki ding ding, miriki ding ding ding. Miriki ding ding, miriki ding ding, miriki ding ding.
Nah, setan itu sama kayak maling. Yang ketahuan itu yang apes.
Iya, berarti ini kan setan apes.
Enggak mungkin lah orang setan tahu kan CCTV.
Tapi ada juga maling yang narsis. Ada nggak yang maling narsis?
Kamu berbagi ilmu pengetahuan dengan setan, dia tahu ada CCTV.
Dia tahu ada CCTV setan itu.
Paling pintar.
Jadi orang apa setan?
Setan itu kan dikasih kepintaran.
Apa?
Semuanya dikasih kepintaran. Dia tuh dikasih akal juga, dikasih semuanya sama. Makanya dia bisa ngegoda kita. Kalau dia nggak bisa, kalau dia bodoh dibanding kita, bagaimana dia ngegoda kita? Dia tuh lebih pintar, makanya dia ngegoda kita. Kalau kita nggak kegoda, berarti kita lebih pintar kali ya.
Kalau yang ini berarti gitu, yang digitu-gituin. Oh gitu. Kayak susah tahu gitu-gitu, kayak disengajain gitu.
Cuman kayak gitu, kejadian kayak gitu, percaya aku ada.
Ada.
Cuman kalau
no kamera.
Nah, no kamera. Tapi emang ada yang gitu-gitu ada. Aku percaya gaib itu ada.
Percaya lah.
Semua yang ada di dunia percaya.
Dikitul gitu.
Setan tuh nggak eksis kayak gitu. Iya. Apalagi kalau pesugihan.
Ada itu benar. Setan itu beneran ada. Di sini juga ada.
Jin. Dia jin iblis.
Tapi dia nggak mungkin mau masuk konten, apalagi kamu suruh oyo.
Ya udah aja, mulai sekarang kamu kamera on terus. Kamera on terus biar mereka tuh nggak berani ngedeketin ke kita. Mereka takut kamera kan? Kayak Abi gitu kan? Aku tahu si Abi selama ini nggak pernah mau masuk kamera, berarti dia hantu. Berarti emang setan.
Ada apa? Foto-foto yang selalu ada orang lain itu kan diedit kan? Ada bagian kita ada ketawa.
Ini paling kalau saya goda ini pakai suara.
Oke lah guys, usahakan aja sama kalian.
Tapi kenapa?
Oke, bye bye.
Orang nggak semua orang
ribut di sini guys. Bye bye.
Mas Hari.
MC dia lah, welcome, selamat datang. Sambil nonton ya. Aku sambil jualan sambil nonton. Oi, salah naruh. Ini taruh sana.
Bada bing, bada boom.
This one is a doozy. It was viral in China and it all kind of unfolded January 2023, so like 4 or 5 months ago.
2023.
A guard was patrolling the high school grounds. He worked for this massive boarding school, and when I say massive, I mean I think they owned close to 600 acres of land. So it's a big chunk of land that he's guarding. He had to take his little guard dog, patrol through the woods, make sure that there's no trespassers, make sure no students are setting up a lab, no rogue chicken running about, and he would go through the stone paths. So it's not like the woods are completely uncharted territory. It's not like it's overgrown, the forbidden forest. You know, there's paths, there's trails to take. And he would just walk along. And some days he would be out there cutting down bamboo before it got a little impossible. But today, his guard dog had completely other plans. His guard dog would not budge. First, the dog was frozen on the path, and then slowly it turned its body towards off path and starts yanking at the guard. The guard gives it one tug, like, come on, let's get back on the path, but the dog absolutely refuses to stop barking. The dog is pulling towards the trees. The guard is, you know, kind of curious. Normally his job is very calm, very peaceful even, but recently the disappearance of a high school student at the school, things had been different since then. So even walking through these woods, it made him feel a bit unsettled. It sent a chill down his back. He took one step off the path onto the crunchy leaves. The dog pulled on the leash until finally both of them were walking off the path and towards this abandoned shed on campus. Okay, it's not
Abandoned shed.
necessarily a shed per se. It's more like 4 brick walls that were set in place, and inside it was used to storage things so that they wouldn't be in plain view. And outside the 4 walls, there were linings of trees, like think privacy trees, but they're really tall, they're really big. They've got these humongous branches. It's honestly kind of confusing, so I'm trying to simplify it to make it digestible. The guard dog stops abruptly at this shed, and his leg and tail is stiff. Like all of his legs, his whole tail, his whole body is stiff. His head is pointed upwards like an arrow, and the guard stares at his dog, follows his gaze to see where is my dog looking, and at first he just sees trees. And then he's like, wait, what is that? In between the wall and the trees, in this small little gap, there was a body hanging. The 15-year-old student that had went missing 3 months ago had just been found on campus, hanging from a tree by a pair of shoelaces. For the past 126 days, it seemed like the whole nation of China had been looking for this student. The campus had been turned upside down by investigators. I mean, it was absolutely gnarly. How on earth was he found just in the open on campus? This is a case that would bring conspiracies of a essay ring in school, a principal running an essay ring, a chemistry teacher that wanted to commit the perfect murder using chemicals, and even school bullies. Because of just how bizarre the death of this student is, it seemed like every conspiracy made sense.
This was huge.
Yeah.
Like I was reading news about people were saying like there was
Panda blood, it was a blood donation.
yeah, they were
gone
saying
wrong.
some governor needs some organ and then they kidnapped the kid for the organ.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Huge, and the conspiracies are wild. So let's talk about the case of the missing boarding school student. And this is a case that seemed to drive practically all of China mad.
Gimana cara bersihinnya? For screw probably here.
As always, full show notes are available at rottenmangopodcast.com. I did have a Mandarin speaker help with this research, not him, okay? A Mandarin researcher, and especially in regards to all the public theories, the threads that just catapulted this case into mainstream media, I wanted to make sure that we covered the most of it. And a lot of netizens, they were invested in this case. This received a ton of media attention in China, and there's just so much mystery, speculation,
Hello Billy, welcome Billy,
conspiracies
selamat
about what's
datang.
going on. So we're going to cover the most popular ones. But just a reminder, myself included, it's easy to get swept up in these conspiracies, but you know, this is a case that affected and still affects the lives of real people. So I think while speculation is fine, as long as it's done with compassion and grace.
Alamat Wibi, welcome,
let's just
selamat datang.
With that being said, let's get into the story. This story takes place in a boarding school in China. It's called the ZHI? Zhiyuan High School, which boarding schools, okay, we know one person that was in a boarding school for a few years, and it's completely anecdotal, but they said it was pretty creepy. Like, I don't know, maybe it's all the movies and books that make boarding schools feel like something is lurking in the background, but it's not just a big sleepover, you know? That's what they said. The first few nights feels like a big sleepover, and then it's no longer fun. That's exactly how they described it. It's just got an eerie sense. Now, today's story solely takes place in a boarding school, so I have to give you the rundown of the campus. There are 2 main buildings in this campus. There are a little bit of like small little one-story buildings here and there, but these 2 buildings are the most important ones. They're technically side by side. They're 0.06 miles away from each other. So it should take like a minute or 2 to walk from one building to the next, right?
Oh, 0.06.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's super close.
Yeah, that's like really close. I mean, there's some trees in between, but it's so close. Now, they're technically side by side, but like I said, there's a small little park that you have to cross. So one building is reserved for all the classrooms and most of the administrative rooms, like think your principal's office, all of these things, teachers' offices, HR. Then you take a quick little walk. Then you've got the other building. This is reserved for student dorms. And the campus is reminiscent of a college campus, but on a tinier, much smaller scale. I mean, outside of these 2 main buildings, they had a gym, 2 parks, soccer field, basketball court, tennis court. I mean, it's a pretty big school. And since it's a restricted boarding school, one of the appeals is that it is completely gated and fenced off from the general public. And students were not allowed to leave the campus without getting explicit permission from teachers or staff, because these are high school kids. These are not college kids. So this way, parents feel a lot safer about sending their kids to this school because it's not some sort of free-for-all. The kids are still under very constant, strict supervision. Everyone is treated like a high schooler and not like a college student. And this is all kind of important later. So anyway, the school has these 3 massive gates. Now, the biggest one is the main gate. It's huge, it's fancy, it looks grand, and it's used for big celebrations like welcoming day, graduation day.
Aku mau nonton
and then you have a
anime
second
itu.
gate, a much smaller one.
See you
And this
next
one is used
time,
for
bye-bye yang
outsiders
udah
to come in.
mampir.